इसी के साथ मैं परम पूज्य श्री स्वामी जी महाराज से सादर निवेदन करती हूँ कि वे हम सभी को संबोधित कर हमें कृतार्थ करें।
वैद्यकेन योपाकरोतं प्रवरं मुनिना पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ओम। अलग अलग कालखंडों में हमने अलग अलग प्रकार की सामाजिक, आर्थिक, राजनैतिक, धार्मिक, सांस्कृतिक क्रांतियों को देखा है। पिछले 100-200 सालों में पूरी दुनिया में बहुत बड़े तौर पर आप पूर्व में ऑस्ट्रेलिया, जो कभी ब्रिटिश के कैदियों की शरणगाह हुआ करती थी, वो दुनिया का एक बहुत ताकतवर मुल्क बन के खड़ा हो गया। साउथ और नॉर्थ कोरिया, जो बहुत दरिद्र स्टेट हुआ करते थे, एक आर्थिक प्रगति के नूतन सोपान चढ़ रहा है, तो दूसरा एक तानाशाह सरकार के द्वारा एक अलग प्रकार का कीर्तिमान घट रहा है। चाइना का राजतंत्र जिस तरह से खत्म हुआ और वहां पर लेनिन, मार्क्स, माओ और कन्फ्यूशियस के सिद्धांतों की नई व्याख्या और नए सत्ता की जो प्रतिष्ठापना हुई है, वो एक अलग प्रकार का दृश्य, परिवर्तन, कुछ नया घटता हुआ हमने उधर भी देखा। जापान जैसा छोटा सा देश पूरी दुनिया को जीतने चला द्वितीय विश्व युद्ध के बाद में, जितना वहां महाविनाश, और उसके बाद जिस तरह से दोबारा उस देश ने अपने आप को खड़ा किया। पूरे यूरोप के बहुत से देशों ने, दुनिया के बहुत से देशों में अपने साम्राज्य कायम किए। डचों ने, पुर्तगीज ने और ब्रिटिशर्स ने जिस तरह से पूरी दुनिया में पिछले 200-250 सालों पहले जो एक पॉलिटिकल कॉलोनाइजेशन स्थापित किया, वो दौर भी हमने देखा है। भारत में ही आज से 75 साल पहले एक तरफ मुगलों का साम्राज्य देखा, दूसरी तरफ ब्रिटिशर्स का भी साम्राज्य देखा, और वो साम्राज्य भी भारत के 565 रियासतों को तोड़ नहीं पाए थे। लेकिन भारत का राजतंत्र खत्म हुआ, लोकतंत्र आया। 75 सालों में हमने भारत में भी देखा। मिडिल ईस्ट में जब मैं पहली बार दुबई गया तो मैंने पूछा, लगभग 18 साल पहले की बात है, मैंने कहा यहाँ 50 साल पहले क्या होता था? बोले 50 साल पहले धूल की टीले हुआ करते थे। 50 सालों के बाद का अब जो बच्चे जन्म ले रहे हैं, वो जिस तरह से दुबई को, अबू धाबी को, कतर को और सऊदी अरबिया को देख रहे हैं, वो आज से 50 साल पहले का उनको वो रेगिस्तान दिखाओ तो कभी भरोसा नहीं करेंगे कि क्या ऐसे भी कभी हुआ करता था। लेकिन इन सारे परिवर्तनों को देश ने, दुनिया ने देखा है। आज से मात्र 100-200 साल पहले पूरी दुनिया में लिमिटेड स्कूल हुआ करते थे। यूनिवर्सिटियों की संख्या तो अंगुलियों पर गिनने लायक हुआ करती थी। शिक्षा के नए प्रतिमान घड़े गए। और इसी बीच पिछले 100 सालों में एलोपैथी का जन्म हुआ है। और उस एलोपैथी के जन्म ने कुछ ऐसा कर दिया कि ऐसा लगता है कि इन दवाओं के अलावा कोई क्या दूसरा कोई रास्ता भी हो सकता है। जबकि 200 साल पहले ये सारी दुनिया, 100 साल पहले तक सारी दुनिया अलग प्रकार के चिकित्सा की राह पर चला करती थी। लेकिन जो मेडिकल फील्ड में डिजास्टर हुआ तो लोग अब दोबारा से पुनर्विचार कर रहे हैं, क्या जो हम औषधियां खा रहे हैं, जिसके बारे में आप यहां कम से कम पिछले 4-5 जो नेशनल इंटरनेशनल जो कॉन्फ्रेंसेस हुई है उसमें आपने कुछ बातों को सुना है और सब इस बात को देख रहे हैं, अनुभव कर रहे हैं कि आप एक दवा लेते हो और वो दवा जाकर के जो कि शरीर उसको अपने अनुकूल नहीं पाता है, उसके खिलाफ लड़ता है, उसको फॉरेन मटेरियल मानकर के उसके साथ संघर्ष करता है। सबसे ज्यादा संघर्ष लीवर और उसके बाद किडनी को करना पड़ता है और शरीर के अनुरूप उस दवाई को कोई दुनिया की ताकत एलोपैथी की दवा को शरीर के अनुकूल बना नहीं सकती। कोई आज तक एक मेडिसिन नहीं बनी है, सिंगल ड्रग वर्ल्ड में ऐसा निजात नहीं हुआ है कि आप दवा खाएं और सीधा सीधा आपका शरीर उस दवा को स्वीकार कर ले। लीवर किडनी के बाद उस डिजास्टर को भोगता है हमारा पूरा प्रतिरक्षा तंत्र, शरीर के वाइटल ऑर्गन्स से लेकर के हमारे एक एक बॉडी के सेल, जीन्स, क्रोमोसोम से लेकर के उनसे बनने वाले टिश्यू ऑर्गन से लेकर के। अब कोई ऐसा तरीका खोजना चाहिए कि भाई ये सब डिजास्टर ना भोगना पड़े। इसके लिए जड़ी बूटियों के ऊपर अब पूरी दुनिया दोबारा से सोच रही है कि हमने प्रकृति के साथ छेड़छाड़ तो की है। कुछ लोग कहते नहीं दवाइयां तो यहीं से बनती हैं, कुछ प्लांट से बनती हैं, फिर जो कुछ जो है फैक्ट्रियों में बन जाती हैं, उन प्लांट्स के सिमिलर उन प्लांट्स के अंदर जो केमिकल्स, जो सॉल्ट्स, जो एक्टिव कंपाउंड्स पाए जाते हैं उनको हम बाहर की प्रयोगशालाओं में बना लेते हैं। ये तो हमारा आविष्कार है, ये आविष्कार है या विनाश है, अब ये तो आगे अभी तय हो रहा है। लेकिन इतना जरूर है कि जो जड़ी बूटियों में नैसर्गिक शक्ति, जिसको मैंने कुछ महीने पहले जब सभा चल रही थी तो मैंने कहा था, ये जो सिंगल ड्रग, सिंगल मॉलिक्यूल्स के ऊपर, सिंगल एक्टिव कंपाउंड्स के ऊपर ये जो काम चल रहा है कि एक सॉल्ट लो और उससे बीमारी को ठीक करो। और मूर्खता की तो हद तब हो जाती है जब कहते हैं कि आपका सिंगल मॉलिक्यूल है, आपका सिंगल कोई जो है कंपाउंड है तो आप मेडिसिन है, और सिंगल से ज्यादा हो गए तो आपको मेडिसिन का दर्जा ही नहीं मिलेगा। ये भी जैसे कहते हैं ना, इनकी मूर्खता पर भी वो अपने आप को गौरवान्वित महसूस करते हैं। ऐसा ये जो पूरा क्रम चल रहा है, प्रकृति ने किसी भी औषधि के साथ यदि दूसरे उसके पूरक घटक दिए हैं तो उसका कोई कारण होगा। किसी भी एक ड्रग में एक सिंगल कंपाउंड बहुत ज्यादा मात्रा में पाया जाता है, उसके साथ में उसके कुछ सहयोगी कंपाउंड होते हैं। एक गिलोय में, एक तुलसी अश्वगंधा में, एक गिलोय तुलसी अश्वगंधा में एक मेन एक्टिव कंपाउंड के अलावा, हल्दी में एक कर्क्यूमिन के अलावा कम से कम 100 से लेके 500 और एक्सेप्शन के तौर पर 1000 मॉलिक्यूल्स भी होते हैं। 1000 उसके अंदर एक्टिव कंपाउंड्स होते हैं, एक्टिव इंग्रेडिएंट्स होते हैं, उसमें औषधीय तत्व होते हैं। उनको नजरअंदाज करके ये जो सिंगल ड्रग के ऊपर जो एक अलग प्रकार की त्रासदी चल रही है, उससे इस दुनिया को मुक्ति मिले। और ये जो सदियों सदियों से, युगों युगों से प्रकृति में एक रोगों के उपचार की व्यवस्था परमेश्वर ने खड़ी की है, उससे ये दुनिया लाभान्वित हो। इसलिए ये जो प्लांट से पेशेंट की यात्रा को सुगम बनाने के लिए पुरुषार्थ कर रहे हैं, उसके लिए श्रद्धेय आचार्य श्री को और पूरे PRI के हमारे डॉक्टर अनुराग और सारे साइंटिस्टों को एक बार बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन है। और इस पुरुषार्थ में हम अकेले नहीं हैं। जिंदगी में हम किसी भी मुकाम पर खड़े होते हैं, सामाजिक, आर्थिक, राजनीतिक, शैक्षणिक धरातल पर, चिकित्सा के किसी भी धरातल पर, तो हमारे साथ हजारों लाखों लोग होते हैं। और इस पूरी यात्रा में, इस जर्नी में एक तरह की, मैं कहूंगा इसको, चिकित्सकीय त्रासदी से इस दुनिया को बाहर निकालने के लिए जो पुरुषार्थ चल रहा है, उसमें इन 3 दिनों में बहुत से विद्वान देश और विदेश के वैज्ञानिकों ने यहाँ मार्गदर्शन दिया है, प्रेरणाएं दी हैं, पाथेय दिया है। उन सबका अभिनंदन करते हैं। और आज की इस सभा में श्री रवि नारायण आचार्य जी, प्रोफेसर रवि नारायण आचार्य जी के साथ साथ डॉक्टर रमन मोहन सिंह जी, प्रोफेसर रमेश के गोयल जी, डॉक्टर अशोक शर्मा जी सहित तो और हमारे जो प्रबुद्ध वैज्ञानिक महापुरुष यहाँ पर हैं, डॉक्टर रमेश जी, रवि नारायण जी के साथ साथ रमन जी और अशोक जी के साथ साथ मीनू सिंह जी, नम्रता जी और अजय सिंह जी और भानु दुग्गल जी, ऐसे हैं हमारे ये डॉक्टर, ऐसे ही साइंटिस्ट जो बहुत ही सात्विक चेतना के धनी हैं। एक बार इन सब का पूरे पतंजलि योगपीठ परिवार की ओर से हम अभिनंदन करते हैं। 3 तरह की चेतना वाले लोग होते हैं। अब मैं थोड़ा सा मेडिकल साइंस से हट करके बात कर रहा हूं। मैंने बात शुरुआत इसलिए की कि जो हम अपने आंखों से दुनिया देख रहे हैं, दुनिया इतनी नहीं है। दुनिया में बड़े बड़े साम्राज्य ढह गए। मैं आज ये तो घोषणा नहीं कर रहा हूं कि मैं एलोपैथी का साम्राज्य का विध्वंस करने के लिए मैंने धरती पर जन्म लिया है, लेकिन हमारा किसी का साम्राज्य ढहाने का प्रयोजन नहीं है, लेकिन नए साम्राज्य गढ़ने का मकसद जरूर है। और वो साम्राज्य किसी की सत्ता को हिलाने के लिए नहीं, बल्कि इस दुनिया को बचाने के लिए। तो 3 तरह के लोग होते हैं। एक तामसिक चेतना के लोग, जो आजकल कॉर्पोरेट हॉस्पिटल चल रहे हैं ना, इनमें ज्यादातर तामसिक चेतना के लोग, ज्यादातर भारत के गांव में, भारत के एयरपोर्ट्स में और दुनिया के गरीब मुल्कों में अपने एजेंट छोड़ो, रॉ मटेरियल लेकर के आओ और 25, 50, 100% प्रॉफिट बनाओ। ये इसको चिकित्सा कहते हैं। इसको तो व्यापार का भी दर्जा नहीं दे सकते। ये है क्या कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा रोगियों को लाओ, काटो, पीटो, पैसे कमाओ। और हॉस्पिटल्स, जो कॉर्पोरेट हॉस्पिटल्स हैं, उनकी बैलेंस शीट पर कभी नहीं चर्चा होती है कि इस हॉस्पिटल ने कितने पेशेंट ठीक किए। चर्चा ये होती है कि इसने कितनी प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी गेन की, इसका मार्केट कैप कितना खड़ा हो गया। जब मेडिकल फैसिलिटी में भी मार्केट कैप खड़ा हो जाएगा तो पेशेंट कहां खड़ा होगा बेचारा। दूसरे राजसिक चेतना के लोग हैं, जो कहते हैं हमें अपना प्रॉफिट भी कमा लेते हैं, पेशेंट को भी थोड़ा आराम कर देते हैं, और भाई देखो ये ज्यादा मारा काटी ठीक नहीं होती है। वो राजसिक चेतना के लोग होते हैं जो पाप और पुण्य, स्वर्ग नरक के बीच में दुकान खोल करके बैठे हुए हैं। और तीसरे सात्विक चेतना के महापुरुष हैं। इसमें भारत के सभी लगभग 99% गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल सम्मिलित है। एक बार उनके लिए जोरदार अभिनंदन होना चाहिए, क्योंकि उनको है कि भाई हमको तो पेशेंट को उसके लिए जो जरूरी लगता है वो उपचार देना है। हमारे लिए ना रोगी रॉ मटेरियल है, ना गैर जरूरी दवाई देनी है, ना गैर जरूरी ऑपरेशन करने हैं, ना गैर जरूरी स्टेरॉइड ठोकने हैं। ये सब चक्करबाजी ठीक नहीं है। तो लगभग 99 मैंने क्यों बोला, वहां पर शायद 1% ऐसे डॉक्टर जरूर होते हैं जो हॉस्पिटल की बजाय अपने घर पर पेशेंट देखना, चोरी से देखना पसंद करते हैं, क्योंकि कानून बना दिया गया है कि आप जो है घर पर पेशेंट नहीं देखते। यदि आप देख सकते हैं, यदि गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल में जॉब करते हैं तो ऑफिशियली। तो इसलिए मैंने कहा फिर भी इतना सच बचना भी पर्याप्त है। और मुझे लगता है इसके अलावा कुछ स्वतंत्र व्यक्ति हैं जो यहां पर वैज्ञानिक आते हैं। मैं तो धन्यवाद करता हूं मेरे जैसे विद्रोही व्यक्ति के पास भी कोई साइंटिस्ट आ सकता है, ये धरती का आश्चर्य है। जबकि मैं जाहिर तौर पर बहुत इस मामले में जो है खूंखार व्यक्ति माना जाता हूं कि जो है स्वामी रामदेव तो जो है हाथ धोकर के पीछे पड़े हुए हैं एलोपैथी के, उसके बावजूद भी जो एमबीबीएस डॉक्टर हैं, एमडी डॉक्टर हैं और वर्ल्ड रिनाउंड साइंटिस्ट हैं, उनका यहां पर आना ही ये बताता है कि ऋषि चेतना की वो व्यक्तित्व, वो आत्माएं अभी भी धरती पर जिंदा है। मैं जिंदा दिली के साथ सबका अभिनंदन करता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
आपका सादर धन्यवाद। अब मैं परम श्रद्धेय श्री आचार्य जी महाराज से सादर निवेदन करती हूँ कि वे हम सभी को संबोधित करें।
परम श्रद्धेय परम पूज्य स्वामी जी महाराज, इस पावन आयोजन के आज तीसरा दिन है। एक तरह से आज समापन होना है। इस अवसर पर जिस तरह से प्रतिदिन अनेक विद्वानों का सम्मान मंच पर आह्वान हम करते रहे, आज जो नए हमारे अतिथि हैं जो अभी पधारे हैं, परम आदरणीय प्रोफेसर रमेश गोयल जी जो कुलपति हैं, वाइस चांसलर हैं दिल्ली फार्मास्यूटिकल साइंसेज एंड रिसर्च यूनिवर्सिटी के, और परम आदरणीय हमारे आयुर्वेद की परम विद्वान, विशेष करके जब हम वैदिक पादप वर्गीकी का नामकरण कर रहे थे तो आप यहाँ पर पधारे थे और अपने हमारे साथ सहयोग, सलाह, परामर्श हम लोगों ने किया था। प्रोफेसर रवि नारायण आचार्य जी जो वर्तमान में जो है CCRS के अंदर डायरेक्टर जनरल हैं भारत सरकार के, और आपको भी हमारी शुभकामनाएं हैं। और मंच पर आदरणीय डॉक्टर रमन मोहन सिंह जी जो डायरेक्टर हैं फार्माकोपिया कमीशन फॉर इंडियन मेडिसिन एंड होम्योपैथी के, आपको भी बहुत शुभकामनाएं हैं। और मंच पर हैं आदरणीय डॉक्टर अशोक शर्मा जी जो एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर हैं डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ बायोकेमिस्ट्री के और एम्स में, ये मंच पर हैं। और आज जिनको हमें सुनना है आदरणीय डॉक्टर प्रोफेसर मीनू सिंह जी जो इस एम्स ऋषिकेश में डायरेक्टर हैं, और हम सुनेंगे आज आदरणीय प्रोफेसर नम्रता लाल जी को जो साउथ अफ्रीका से हमसे जुड़ेंगे। और इस आज हम जिनको सुनेंगे डॉक्टर अजय सिंह जी जो डायरेक्टर हैं भोपाल एम्स में। हम सुनेंगे आदरणीय डॉक्टर भानु दुग्गल जी को, एम्स ऋषिकेश में कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट हैं, प्रोफेसर हैं। हम सुनेंगे आदरणीय राधा सैनी जी जो WHO को देखती हैं मनीला फिलीपींस से, जो यहाँ पधारी हुई हैं। तो इतने विद्वज्जनों को आज हम सुनेंगे। इसके अतिरिक्त पतंजलि रिसर्च अनुसंधान संस्थान के भी हमारे कुछ वैज्ञानिक अपने कार्य और अपने रिसर्च को यहाँ बताएंगे। तो इस सुंदर आयोजना पतंजलि के माध्यम से पूरे देश और दुनिया में यह संदेश पहुँच रहा है। पूरे विदेशों के भी हमारे कई सारे मेहमान यहाँ पर भी उपस्थित हैं। उन्होंने भी अपनी विधा से, अपने ज्ञान से, अपने नॉलेज से, अपने अनुभवों से जो वर्षों तप करके पुरुषार्थ करके आपने पाया था, उससे हमको लाभान्वित किया। तो यह जो आयोजन है एक तरह से लगभग 8 देशों में के लोगों का यहाँ पर आना, लगभग 3 दर्जन से अधिक लोगों का उद्बोधन होना और लगभग सोशल मीडिया, डिजिटल मीडिया और मुख्य चैनल के माध्यम से पूरे विश्व में पहुंचना, यह भारतीय संस्कृति, हमारी जो विधा है, आयुष विधा को विश्व में, विश्व को सामने रखना, ये एक अद्भुत कार्य है। इस आयोजना के पीछे श्रद्धेय स्वामी जी की जो दूरदर्शिता है, एक जो दृष्टि है, वही मूल में काम करती है। श्रद्धेय स्वामी जी की जो दृष्टि होती है, हम सहित हमारी पूरी टीम उसके लिए संलग्न हो जाती है। और यहाँ पर सारे हमारे प्राध्यापकगण, सभी हमारे विद्यार्थी, छात्र छात्राएं, आयुर्वेद महाविद्यालय से लेकर के हमारा प्राकृतिक यौगिक महाविद्यालय से लेकर के विश्वविद्यालय, वैदिक गुरुकुलम के जो हमारी टीम यहाँ पर है, यह भी आप लोगों का सौभाग्य मैं मानता हूँ कि आप सबको, इतने सारे विद्वानों को, इतने सारे महापुरुषों को एक साथ देखने और सुनने का मौका मिला है, तो उसका आपने लाभ जरूर उठाया होगा। मैं चाहूँगा कि और अच्छी तरह से लाभ उठाने का प्रयास करो, क्योंकि जीवन में सीखने का क्षण एक होता है, आचरण के लिए, लाभ लेने के लिए पूरा जीवन होता है। तो जो लाभ लेने के लिए जो सीखने की चीज़ें होती हैं, उससे यदि हम वंचित रह जाते हैं तो फिर हमें कभी लाभ, उसका लाभ भी कभी नहीं मिल पाएगा। तो आज अब क्योंकि कार्यक्रम बहुत ज़्यादा, कल भी कुछ रह गए थे, आज हमको पूरा करना है। मैं इतना ही कहना चाहूँगा कि आज ये जो हमारा ये 3 दिन का कार्यक्रम है, इससे हमने यह जाना है कि दुनिया में क्या हो रहा है, वनस्पतियों को लेकर के, जड़ी बूटियों को लेकर के, रोगों के संदर्भ में, चिकित्सा के संदर्भ में जब दुनिया का पता चलता है तो हमको यह भी पता चलता है कि हम कहाँ पर खड़े हैं। या हमारी ऋषि परंपरा आयुर्वेद जिस बातों को, जिन चीज़ों को हमें सिखाती है, वो आयुर्वेद वस्तुतः वह विज्ञान किस स्तर का विज्ञान है। हम जानते हैं कि ऋषियों का विज्ञान अद्भुत है, फिर भी दुनिया की दृष्टि में और भी प्रामाणिकता को और भी गहराइयों को समझने का अवसर मिले तो इससे बेहतर कुछ हो नहीं सकता। तो इस बेहतर अवसर का आप सब लाभ उठा रहे हैं, लाभ उठाइए। अब लगातार आगे का कार्यक्रम निरंतर चलेगा। आप सबको हमारी बहुत शुभकामनाएं। आप सबको बस भगवान इतनी शक्ति और सामर्थ्य दें, इन विधाओं को पुनर्स्थापित करने के लिए हम अपने जीवन को लगा सकें। ओम शांति।
आपके मार्गदर्शन के लिए परम श्रद्धेय श्री आचार्य जी महाराज, आपको सादर धन्यवाद। क्योंकि अब हमारी अतिथि प्रोफेसर भानु दुग्गल मैम भी हमारे समक्ष आ चुकी हैं, मैं उनको स्टेज पर आमंत्रित करती हूँ फेलिसिटेशन के लिए। Thank you very much. Speaker series for today. And for this, may I now invite our first speaker of the day, Professor Rabi Narayan Acharya ji. He will be giving his talk upon the topic Repurposing of Ayurvedic Drugs, Ethnopharmacology, a Tool. Professor Acharya is presently the Director General, Central Council for Research in Ayurvedic Sciences, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. He was a professor of Dravya Guna at ITRA Jamnagar, where he has been a faculty since September 2007 to February 2022. He also served ITRA as HOD Dravya Guna and Dean. Dr. Acharya also provided his service to the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India at different capacities such as Chairman, Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia Committee, Member ASUDTAB member. Professor Acharya has published more than 325 research articles in peer-reviewed journals and have authored 5 books. He also has 10 book chapters to his credit. He is the recipient of the Best Teacher Award for Drug Research Teaching and the Best Research Paper Award for Literary Research in the field of Ayurveda, conferred by CCRAS, Ministry of Ayush, New Delhi. May I request Professor Rabinarayan Acharya to please come to the dais for his talk. Yes, sir.
Namaste to all. Pratah Smaraniya Param Pujya Swami ji, Ramdev ji, Acharya Balkrishna ji, His Honorable Professor Ramesh Goyal ji, the Vice Chancellor, my colleague Dr. Raman Singh ji, and all dignitaries, experts, and dear students. A huge students gathering here. Dear friends, at the outset, I thank Patanjali with the blessings of Swamiji. I am blessed to his darshan and also be here. Dear friends, I have been assigned a topic to say a few words about ethnopharmacology. I was talking with Acharya ji and Swami ji. As Swamiji very rightly told, Ayurveda, the contribution of Indian science in terms of health, in terms of education, in terms of age, is huge. So now the plants to the humanity, patients and plants to the social ethnopharmacology is only related to pharmacology, the drugs related, so plants to the humanity. So with this, how we can repurpose, though we have a vast science among us. In the next 20 minutes, I will be sharing my views how repurpose this pharmacology to present practice of Ayurveda. As we know, the medicinal plants, the demand of medicinal plants is growing a lot, dear students. Day to day, not only in India, but international scenario, the medicinal plant sector and different reports are coming, how the importance of the growth or demand on the medicinal plants is increasing. And this medicinal plant, increase of medicinal plants is not related to one sector, drug sector only. Because plants, that's why I say plants to humanity. The plants, you can see from this figure, how plants are being used for different purposes, not only for the drugs. That is, we have Ayurveda market, we have veterinary medicines, we have wellness center, we have hospitals, we have a daycare center. Everywhere the plant is being used, and a recent report of CII says that there is a huge report. Though the report comes in 2008, but in 2021, the pandemic, COVID pandemic has highlighted how Ayurveda can contribute to manage, not only to manage the disease, but how to prevention every aspect. The data is more, in recent scenario, what CIA has report. Dear friends, as there is a huge demand, there is also less supply. The huge demand and the supply is very, now it's varying a lot. Being managing a big pharma like Patanjali, Acharya ji will be agree with me that getting a natural plant is very difficult as on today. And the demands is so high and the supply is less. And to fulfill this, you can see the demands of medicinal plants. This is Ayurveda, 1,587 plants are being used, and Siddha, Unani system, the many plants are used there. And if you see the legal use of medicinal plants, only 300 something or 400 something plants are used under in the Ayurvedic formulary of India says that they have we have standardized 645 drugs, which includes different parts. But in total, 300 to 400 medicinal plants are used in every sector of plant. And that is it. And also, if you see the parts used, you can see the huge parts used of the medicinal plants which are used in Ayurveda sector. There are near about 44 parts of different parts of all A to Z of a plant, I can say, are being used for different disease conditions. And if you see the formulations also, dear friends, I am highlighting here a drug where ginger, Vishwabheshaja, what we called in Ayurveda, how the drug is used, and the uses of Vishwabheshaja is increased starting from Susut Samhita till other drugs that use, it's huge, different purposes are used in the drugs for different disease conditions. And the formulations also differ. So my purpose of presenting this slide figure is here that a drug, the use of the drug is being increased and from time to time, but India is blessed with a huge medicinal plant at different we have 20 agroclimatic zone, we have 17 biodiversity area, we have a huge resources, but as regards the demand supply of the medicinal plants, 50% are from collection source only and very few are from cultivation sources. And due to this high demand and less supply, there is a huge, in the herbal drug market, there is adulteration and decrease in the quality of the drugs. And if we can say, being a research organization or like Patanjali research organization or other, to fulfill this, we have 4 sources among us. One is cultivation, sustainable harvesting, inclusion of new drugs from ethnopharmacological sources, and alternate, we have to see about now, we are working on 15th and 16th, we are working with Dr. Raman Singh in the pharmacopoeia, that how we can come up with alternate medicinal plants for the existing plants here. And another way is repurposing of the medicinal plant. And this substitute and addition of the new drugs, we can have substitute and adulteration. It is not our view. Starting, if you go to the history of medicinal plants, in our classical text, you can see the new Ayurveda has adapted n number of plants to each pharmacopoeia. Ayurveda has adapted starting from Vedic period. If you see, only few number of plants are there in the Vedic period and modern era, in particularly Samhita class and the Nivantu period, the plants are being used and number is increased like anything. And if you see the new drugs additions, Ayurveda is always open. That's an Indian culture. Ahipena comes to India, we adapt it. We adapt, starting from Charak Samhit, Chakradatta time, all other, we have adapted new drugs to our pharmacopoeia. You see, you can see Chakradatta said 59 new plants, Basavarajyam, a South Indian text, they mentioned 13 new plants. So new plants are being, it is not new that we are enriching the new plants here. And if you see the example of new plants, dear friends, you can see if in the 7th and 8th century Kumari, the drug was there, but the medicinal purpose, Tulsi was there, but the medicinal purpose were used at latter point of time. And Keshar, you can say 9th century, Hibiscus rosa sinensis is used, entered the medical field in 9th century. Eranda Karkati, the papaya, what we are drug of choice now for dengue, is not of Indian origin. It's an exotic plant. When Portuguese came to India, they introduced the plant and we have adapted in Ayurveda and we have developed its Rasaguna Panchaka. I am thankful to the Patanjali that they have enumerated n number of plants. I was fortunate to be a part of Patanjali work 7 years back. And now they have come up with a huge number of medicinal plants. They have Sanskritized. They have mentioned in the sloka form. So the future generation, time will come that yes, these are of Indian origin. I congratulate Patanjali for that aspect and particularly Acharya Balakrishnaji and Swamiji in that aspect. Dear friends, in 16th and 17th century, we adapt Jaipala, we adapt Kupilu, a known plant, emergency medicinal plant, we adapt Ahipena, and Topchini also we adapt. When Piranga comes, when the English people comes to India, They come with a disease condition, Piranga, and also the Chinese origin plant, Chopchini was there. And we adapted it, we developed it, Rasapanchaka, we acclimatized it, and we developed in different disease conditions also. And particularly, if you see the books of Priyavat Sharma, Eucalyptus, Tailaparni, is a drug not mentioned in the classical drug by Ayurveda, but we have adapted it, we have adapted Pannabija, we have adapted Sadapushpa, Vinkarojia also in that aspect. So this is not a new thing. Now I am coming to the present topic, that is addition of the new indications are there. I will highlight some example of the medicinal plants here. If you see, I am highlighting some poisonous plants, because very rarely we use the poisonous plants as on today in our pharmacopoeia. So that point is there. So you can see the ethnomedicinal plants claim not only in India but also across the globe. Plants are used for medicinal purpose, and particularly the recent book published by Patanjali says the ethnomedicinal uses of all the plants across the globe. They have compiled very nicely. That book is there. So here the purpose is Nerium indicum and Thebasia nerifolia. You see, there are 29 ethnomedicinal claims of Indian and international report of Thebatia and Nerium 29 and Thebasia is Karavira, the known plant is poisonous plants, but we are very rarely use this plant in disease conditions there. And you see the formulations, if you see the classical formulations, there are 220 formulations contained Karavira as one ingredient, but very few formulations are in practice as on today. But pharmacological actions are there. But surprisingly, if you see the ethnomedicinal claims, dear friends, you can see the classical use of Karavira, ethnomedicinal claims of nerifolia and indicum, the new indication, that is used in mental disorders, use of latex in toothache, contraceptive, chronic fever, intermittent fever. There is a reference of root and flower for fever, but the particular disease conditions, how to use is known by the ethnic people. Another good example I am giving here, I have worked upon Kampillaka, I have collected the plants from this Uttarakhand region, which is a huge number of plants of Kampillaka. That's why I choose for presentation here. Because ethnomedicinal uses, you can see 36 tribes across India are using Kampillaka, and 67 disease conditions. And classical use, only 22 disease conditions and 128 formulations only. And the diversity of the medicinal plants, we use Kampillaka as a Virechana, as a Krumigna, only the Phalaraja. But you see, in the next slide I will present how all the parts, that is leaf, fruit, bark, flower and seed. The leaf is used by the tribal of Odisha as a wonderful drug for wound healing. I have taken the project and I have completed it, I have found it pharmacologically, it's active. So the traditional claims are there. You can see in this slide, Kampillaka is used in 66 disease conditions, and the classical use is only 22 disease conditions as a single drug, Kampillaka. But at the same time, Kampillaka is used as a formulation, in the formulations for 33 disease conditions. And the new indications like piles, cough, bronchitis are there, eczema, wound, all these things are there, but they are not mentioned in the classical text of Ayurveda. So this is high time to get information from, collect information from ethnopharmacology, develop new drugs, we can say new indications, repurpose these drugs and use for the benefit of the humanity. And another plant I am highlighting here about the Gloriosa superba, known as Langali in Ayurveda. Dear friends, you can also see here only 12 disease conditions Langali is used. And if you search in the Ayurvedic, present Ayurveda pharmacopoeia, very few formulations are in the market, and some companies come for arthritis and all the gout conditions, but very rarely the drug is used. But I have visited a tribal people of Chhattisgarh, tribal area of Chhattisgarh and Odisha border. There a physician practice only with Langali. I have seen the 100 kg of Langali being supplied, his clinic is only managed by Langali. And a hospital of rural area of orthopedic disease conditions, fracture disease conditions, and particularly arthritis disease conditions. Patients from Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, and other parts come to him. And 20 at a bedded hospital also, 10 to 20 bed hospital is clinic, and maximum managing with this condition, disease condition, with arthritis by a single drug. You see the formulations of ethnomedicines. You can see 38 disease conditions language being claimed for its ethnomedicinal claims, but only as 12 disease conditions in the single drug in the classical text of Ayurveda. And if you see the 30 disease conditions of formulation, this shows that drug is conducive. There is n number of possibilities of developing different formulations. And if you see to this type of repurposing, we have achieved, CCRS has achieved a repurposing. We have the drug IU-64 for malaria. But with the help of modern computational science, with the help of recent in silico study, we found it's effective in COVID also. So we repurpose it and use it for COVID-19, and we found success also in case of COVID-19 for IU-64. So here it says that certain disease conditions, 30 disease conditions, this drug is used as an ingredient. This shows that drug has potency of different disease conditions. If used properly, we can come up with new formulations from these ethnomedicinal claims. And another drug of poisonous nature is bakuchi, very rarely used, external indications for psoriatic conditions, not psoriatic, for leukoderma conditions and other. Bakuchi is very rarely used. But dear friends, you see, the external, internal indications is 30 and external is 14 only. And another plant, these are the classical medicinal plants, dear friends. I am citing another example which is not at all classical, but being used by the traditional people of Gujarat and other parts of the country for different disease conditions. That plant is Opuntia ilatia. The tribal people of Gujarat used for the management of anemia. That is a beautiful drug. I have worked upon near about, out of my 100, I have guided more than 100 students of PG and PhD out of many works of ethnomedicinal claims. I have produced more than 4 PhD in this Opuntia ilatia. You can see the all the parts used are being used for medicinal purposes, and this single drug is used for different disease conditions, right? Starting from endocrine disease, respiratory, reproductive, skin, digestive, that's why the beauty of Ayurveda, when we extract a single formulations out of this and do clinical research, many times we get failed. That is not that it is fail, but many of the synthetic drugs, not many, maximum of the synthetic drugs of herbal origin, in somewhere there is a success, but in maximum cases there is failure also. So here, in total, of use of Ayurveda medicinal plants, in total, for different disease conditions will definitely give success. Now, I will, but this is not like that our ancestors were not knowing about evaluation of new drugs. They have incorporated all new drugs, whatever I described, starting from topchini or other papaya, all these things, they have make it with the guidelines of Ayurveda. You see the single stanza of Ayurveda says how medicinal plants can be researched upon. In a single stanza, in the modern parlance, we have good collection practice, good storage practice, good manufacturing practice, good clinical practice. We rename in modern terms, but Ayurveda in a single stanza says evam grohitam, evam upaskrutyam, that evam grohitam, good collection practice. How to collect, how to develop a passport data of a medicinal plants. Evam grohitam, that single word says hundreds things. Good collection practice is that. Evam upaskrutam, how good manufacturing practice. A single word, evam upaskrutam, the single word says how good collection, good identification practice. All these are well described in the classical text of Ayurveda. If we follow the classical text guidelines and collaboration with modern new parallels, modern instrument recommendations, and we can definitely come up, we are coming up with, and in future also, as Acharyaji, Swamiji told rightly, we are the leaders and we will remain leaders for times to come. And the guidelines, simple guidelines, I am highlighting here a single medicinal plant, dear friends. The BMS student you all know, Bhaprakasa started Haritakyadi Barga with single drug Haritaki, with 30 stanza there. Near about 30 stanzas are there while describing Haritaki single plant. You see, but other drugs are described with a single sloka, or 2 or 3 sloka. For Haritaki, he gives 30 slokas. Why? Because you just imagine that thousands are back where there is no paper, no writing everything, and only we have to memorize. That's why Shastra says, Disha Anaya, Shesamag Shoyang Murta Buddhiman. We are giving you insight. We are giving you direction. It is up to us, up to the physician, up to the scientist, how they explore that, how they think about that. So the single line, starting from its history, Haritaki is being described, how Haritaki comes to the world, and how the different synonyms of different types, habitat, identification characters, properties of individual type, 7 types of Haritaki are there. We have many plants of different types, but we don't have properties and action of all the plants there. But modern action, and the beauty is here, and we are blamed that Ayurveda does not say the pharmacovigilance aspect. Ayurveda does not describe about drug interaction, drug adverse effect. And you see the beauty, Haritaki is being told by, in some Nigantus, that Haritaki Manusyanang Mata Vihitakarini, Kadachit Kupyante Mata Na Udarasta Haritaki. So Haritaki is correlated with Mata, but at the same time, the adverse effect, the contraindication Haritaki are well noted in the classical text. Gugul is the most useful plants in Ayurveda. Its adverse effect are well noted. Sreshta Surana, Sreshta Kanda Surana, it's known as best Saka, Kanda Saka, but its adverse effect are well noted in the classical text, well mentioned. Yes, so all our Asosodis are well noted about the adverse effect. Our science is so robust and so time tested, everything. So the question comes here, why this has been noted? Dear friends, it has been noted because they are maximum used, and they are, when there is a maximum use, the adverse effect they have noted. So it is our duty now to note the other drugs in that parallels to study that, just like Haritaki. And this is the way how the modern science does research on herbal drugs, starting from the review of literature, pharmacognostical, analytical, microbial, and in vivo, in vitro studies, and at last the clinical studies. So a drug to be studied, a drug of ethnopharmacology origin must be studied in this line, and we are working on that line also. And I am now highlighting, this is the later put, I will highlight within 5 minutes, I will cite some examples how the drugs are working, how the ethnomedicinal claims are good for humanity. You see the Kadiya maclodi, a drug of choice, a drug being used by the tribal of Madhya Pradesh for wound healing activities. The leaves are being used for wound healing activities, and we have carried out the studies there. I am citing some examples where I have worked upon, and my team has worked upon there. So there's pharmacognosy, DNA fingerprinting, Rasanir Dharana, and antimicrobial study, wound healing activities, and pilot clinical study also. We found in dosage form, in certain form, drugs is effective in wound healing, and particularly the leaves is there. Based upon our activities, now government of Odisha has started propagation and conservation of this plant. This plant is supposed to be extinct in even if the reporting area of Madhya Pradesh. And another, Apuntia ilatia. This drug we have worked upon about, we have standardized it, dosage form. Now we are working with Indian Institute of Nutrition, Hyderabad, regarding its safety. Safety is the paramount importance. Every drug of herbal origin must be tested. It is no doubt. I will cite some examples also there. So the phytochemical acute and both chronic toxicity study in animal model and clinical study. We have completed the study in genetic populations, in common other population, even if the cancer patient. This is a wonderful drug. This may be a wonderful drug in because in animal model we have worked the drug which is known for its carcinogenic activities, and after administering the drug, we have found that. So clinical studies are on the way. So this is the thing Nagapani is giving. Another is Katupila. This is a drug. You can see how the beautiful the drug works. I think light is. So how this generally in diabetic foot ulcer, maximum allopathy cases they refer for amputations, or patients are suffer like very badly. But use of this plant with only the application of the leaf paste, all the diabetic foot ulcer were cured like anything. So with the time, there is no indication, many 100% success rate of this plant in diabetic foot ulcer. So these are the ethnomedicinal claims, and we have worked upon that. This is the work of Institute of Teaching and Research in Ayurveda at Jamnagar, where I was a faculty there. And another blepharitis, the tribal people use this plant in the name of Rasna. In the herbal drug market, this drug is used, being sold in the rate of 4,000 rupees per kg, and the Rasna, where the traditional Rasna is being used being sold at 200 or 300 rupees maximum. So the drug, a beauty by the tribal people, they use in the name of Rasna also as a tea for generally as a tea form for enriching the stamina, pain, viral fever, all these things. So we have worked upon, we found good effective in both clinical and animal study. Another Cycas rependa, many Cycas plants are there, but based upon that tribal claim, we worked upon for its bone fracture management activities, and we found also it's one effective. And another, Ayurveda, we tell that Ayurveda does not have acute management, dear friends. I have cited this example here because this drug is being used by the tribal of Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha part for management of snake bite. And we have worked upon with snake bite with, in two different snake models, snake venom models. And we found, for your kind information, the drug was sent very nicely, because we can't take clinical studies, all these things in cases, and match to our lacuna. Snake bite cases never comes to our Ayurveda hospital, maximum to our allopathic hospitals there. But when we found that how to do research, again, this question comes, what the tribal use? They use the drug along with maricha. When we try a group with maricha and without maricha there is 100% fatality rate in the animals. But with maricha, the drug acts wonder. So this says that how the tribal use, in which dosage form, how the use is supposed to be used in that way. Again, in the future course of time, we may change the dosage form, we may change something else. But first, to give an emphasis, the tribal claim must be studied as it is. Another, we are not only in case of medicinal management. Dear friends, this drug is used, this plant is used as a salad. By the tribals of a foreign country. One of my MD students comes from Malaysia, she used to come with that. But we found this plant in India also. This drug is used as a salad by traditionally. And we found a good nutritional value. So that aspect also, how vegetables, many vegetables are used by our ancestors at that point of time. But now we are limited, some exotic vegetables, saka burger, and now we are forgotten about saka. So that is a huge area of research from the tribal claim about nutritive value of vegetables. This is another Cyanoclosum glutatium Bajikarna effect. This is Lanidae ramossissima. It is a drug of choice for kidney disease conditions, being used by the tribal of Gujarat people there. And dear friends, all the things, whatever is positive, it's not only works. Whatever the tribal claim also does not work 100%. We can believe, we have to believe them, but after scientific validation. See this plant. This drug is used by the not only Indian tribals, the Mundalia serratia. I got a claim that yes, this drug is used for tuberculosis by the tribal of Madhya Pradesh and other parts of our country, and not only our country but internationally of 7 to 8 countries. When we try this drug, you see the condition of the animals. All the alimentary canal come out after using the single drug. So we should not believe that whatever the drug, it must be tried scientifically. We should not believe the drug as it is, whatever the claims. We have to prove the toxicity. You see how and when after seeing this effect, I go to the natural place of that plant. And for your surprising, for my surprise, I say that whatever the bees, whatever the small ants, all they die. Whenever any plant, any small insect go to the plant in flowering condition, I found them dead there only. So the flowers are so much deadly, and not a single grass found there in its vicinity. So this shows that plants are also toxic, but their claims, you see that claims used in malaria, used in the leaves are for infusion and roots, many disease conditions the tribal claim is there. So dear friends, we have to be cautious while studying ethnopharmacology also. This example, this side here. So I conclude by saying our Kalidasa, while started his new journey, before him a lot of poets were there. Writing Malavika, मित्रम कालिदास सेज पुराणमित्यम न साधु सर्वम न चापि काव्यम नववित्तवित्तपद्यम संतः परीक्षांतर बद्धन्ते मूढ़ परप्रत्नत बुद्धि. So he started his journey. When he started, I can say this as a marketing strategy of him. Before him, a lot of pharmaceutical, a lot of poets were there. A lot of pharmaceutical companies were there before Patanjali starts its career. You see the position of Patanjali as of now, and see other pharmaceuticals there. So marketing strategy is with positive results. With our ethnomedicinal plants, all these things can be considered in that way. We cannot say that whatever old is always gold. All our classical medicinal plants are best, and the ethnomedicinal plants, ethnopharmacology is not good. We should not never say like that. We have to research upon this. Kalidasa stanza gives us a lot about that. And also Hitapadesha says, Shastra Madhiman api bhavanti murkha. Yastu kriyavan purusha savidwan. Who works continuously, who works sincerely, and only knowing the drug name, we can't say that drug can cure. We have to work upon, and that's also says about Charaka. Charaka says the same thing, dear friends. Charaka says, Ausading abhigyatang nama rupa gunastrivi. Vigyatang chapi durjutang. Duryuktang anarthopapadyate. Charaka says, a drug must be known in terms of its nama, in terms of its pharmacognostical characters, in terms of its rupa, its pharmaceutical characters, and guna, its pharmacological actions. A physician must know all these things, three aspects of a drug: nama, rupa, guna, and prayoga. A physician must know. But after knowing this, if he misuses this, vigyatam tapi duryutam, people blame Ayurveda. Guruchi is poisonous, Ashwagandha is poisonous, adverse effect. But they have not done proper work. The indications, the contraindications, the uses are not properly studied. And with a single case studies, they blamed Ayurveda. The Shastra says, Vigyatam tapi duritam anarthopapadyate. If you are doing misadministration, anartha is nothing but adverse effect. A drug is a poison, a drug is a nectar. So, judicious use of a drug through research is the need of time. Thank you everyone. Thank you Patanjali for providing what.
Thank you very much, sir. अपने महत्वपूर्ण कार्यवश प्रोफेसर रवि नारायण आचार्य जी हमारे साथ इस कार्यक्रम में आगे सम्मिलित नहीं हो पाएंगे, इसलिए उनको मोमेंटो प्रदान करने के लिए मैं परम पूज्य श्री स्वामी जी महाराज और परम श्रद्धेय श्री आचार्य जी महाराज को सादर मंच पर आमंत्रित करती हूँ.
संस्कृत बोलने वाले स्पीकर भी दुर्लभ होते हैं आचार्य जी के लिए, उसके लिए विशेष अभिनंदन है शास्त्र के प्रमाणों को. तो मैंने कहा आयुर्वेद वाले हमारे तो जो आयुर्वेद में हम BNYS में पढ़ाते हैं उतने हमारे जो है क्लास 1 के स्टूडेंट जानते हैं संस्कृत, लेकिन ये जो संस्कृत पढ़े इनके पिता का इसमें बड़ा योगदान है, उसके लिए इनके पिता का भी अभिनंदन.
The next eminent speaker that I would like to invite on stage is Dr. Swati Haldar ji. Dr. Swati Haldar did her PhD from CSIR Institute of Microbial Technology, Chandigarh. She currently works as the head of the microbiology department at Patanjali Research Institute, India. Let's all give her a warm welcome.
Very good morning to all of you. परम पूज्य स्वामी जी को मेरा प्रणाम, परम श्रद्धेय आचार्य जी को मेरा नमन. it feels a bit nervous to stand in a podium where eminent speakers spoke before me. So it is kind of weighing a lot on my shoulders and my heart. But I'll try to do justice. You know, when a single great mind becomes compassionate about something, a revolution can happen. But imagine when two legendary personalities become compassionate and passionate about something, you know what happens? Patanjali happens, which is much more than a big, big revolution. Just like our ancient Indian tradition, culture, belief, faith, each and every aspect of our life embraces new things. No matter from where it is coming, we are always welcoming to something new. हम हमेशा नवीन को welcome करते हैं, आग्रह से उनको अपने साथ मिलाने की कोशिश करते हैं. And this amalgamation takes very spontaneously. A couple of days ago, when Anurag sir was giving his introductory talk, he mentioned that one of the themes on which PRI is working is to explore new uses of our medicinal plants or exploring the unexplored parts of the known medicinal plants. So today my talk is about that aspect of our theme. I have deliberately chosen Withania somnifera because Withania somnifera, or जिसको हम अश्वगंधा के नाम से जानते हैं, it is a well-known medicinal plant across the globe. Usually, the roots of Withania somnifera are recommended in our classical texts. But at PRI, we have explored other parts of Withania somnifera. We are trying to go beyond the roots, or rather, we are trying to go above the roots. Okay. Patanjali aims at holistic health. That means we don't just focus on areas where most of the people are suffering from. Rather, we also take care of those ailments which are rare or endemic to a particular area. So sporotrichosis is one such ailment. It's an infectious disease, it's a fungal disease, which is very rare, but if it happens, it can be very dangerous. So I'm not going to read out these things. Only thing I want to point out over here is that, only thing I want to point out over here is that being a rare disease and with a very less known etiology, we don't know much about its treatment. We use the available antifungal agents, and as you can see, itraconazole is not very effective, and amphotericin B, even if it's effective, it is effective at a very high dose, which makes it, which comes with lots of side effects. I can skip these slides because I just wanted to show that it's not very widespread across the globe. And there are several species of sporothrix that is responsible for this disease, but in India and the Asian part, it's the globosa that is mainly predominant. So in the study, we have taken sporothrix globosa. This is the endemic belt, and as you can see, India comes in the endemic belt, and this China and other parts of Southeast Asia are coming under the hyperendemic belt. So, coming to the data, we prepared whole plant extract of Withania somnifera, and we tested its antifungal effect against this fungus. And we found that it has got a fungicidal effect, which means it can completely kill this fungus, which is not seen with the existent antifungal agents. Even if the existing antifungal agents are capable of killing this fungus, they do at a very high concentration. We found that this extract is having lots of phytocompounds like withanoside, 4, 5, withanol, And we know that individually these have got lots of medicinal effects. But we are not interested, at least for this study, we were not interested in looking into the individual effects. We went with the entire extract. So what happens? It actually targets the cell permeability of the fungus. That means, okay, the fungus has got two layers of protection, cell wall and cell membrane. With this extract, we can target both the layers. And as you can see that the layers have been chewed up, and when the cells are put in simple water, the water seeps in and the cells bulge, which shows that it has got not a very specific way of killing the cells. Well, when any antibiotic agent targets the microorganism in a very specific way, the microorganism can revert back by developing drug resistance. But when the attack is done from several different aspects, it becomes very difficult for the microorganism to develop resistance. So when we are using herbal extracts, that's exactly what happens. The targeting is multi-targeting. So the microorganism is kind of confused which way to combat the attack. This is the beauty. Okay, so we have also seen the ergosterol. Ergosterol is a biomolecule which is predominantly present in the cell membrane of fungi. And we found here that when the Sporothrix globosa was treated with the whole plant extract of ashwagandha, the ergosterol content of the cell membrane was significantly decreasing, which again proves that the cell permeability was effectively targeted. This was the first part of my talk. Why I'm mentioning this? Because this particular microorganism, globosa, it is partially drug resistant. From this study, we got the indication that probably ashwagandha can also be used against other drug-resistant microorganisms, to which I'm going to come shortly. These are the future way forwards that we can do, and we are working towards these goals. Then we moved on to another fascinating part of the study, that is extracting oil from ashwagandha seeds. We extracted oil. We, as in like my friends from the chemistry department, they optimized the conditions, and we got the oil under supercritical conditions. These are the these are the fatty acid constituents present in the seed oil. We checked it against Salmonella enterica. Well, I was talking about fungi. Now it is a bacteria. Why I'm doing so? Because I want to give you the idea that Ayurveda or herbal extract, they are not just working against one particular microorganism. Well, it's fungus, and now it is capable of working against a bacteria as well. So you can see that it effectively inhibits the bacterial growth, bacterial motility, and it actually targets the bacterial cell wall. Now, Salmonella enterica is a pathogen which is associated with foodborne disease salmonellosis. What happens is that this bug is very efficient in making biofilms. What are biofilms? It's a layer. The bacterial cells come together, agglomerate, and form layers. There are 3 stages of biofilm formation. Why I'm talking about biofilm? Because biofilm is one of the important ways in which microorganisms become drug resistant. So the first part of the talk shows that ashwagandha is effective against drug resistant microorganisms. The second part, I'm going to show that it is effective against the way in which ashwagandha can combat with the method through which the microorganism is developing drug resistance. What we found is that not only the initiation phase, but the maturation and degradation of biofilm could also be taken care with the ashwagandha seed oil, as you can see in this case. This was in case of Salmonella enterica. I'm not going to summarize because I'm just kind of narrating the story, and these are the way forwards. As I'm talking, I'm delivering my talk. These things are what we are working on right now in the lab. I'll come to the last part of my talk, that is Candida auris. This is the main attraction of the talk. You can see in 2004, there wasn't much spread of Candida auris. By 2014, a good amount of spread is there. By 2017, this is scary. And 2080, oh my God. So, now why should we be scared of Candida auris? This is a fungal pathogen which is mostly hospital-borne, and it is extremely drug-resistant. When I say extremely drug-resistant, it means that it has got the capacity to develop resistance against any new drug coming into the market. It is such efficient and flexible and dynamic. What we did, we tried this oil against Candida auris, and you see we have got very good results over here. This is amphotericin B, over here AMB, and this has been used at a very high concentration. This concentration cannot be used in the clinical practice. This is just for your reference. And these are the graphs, these are the scientific things that yes, WSSO, or the ashwagandha seed oil, is effectively reducing the growth of Candida auris. The next experiment is a little fancy experiment. We wanted to check how it is acting on Candida auris. For that, we devised two experiments. First is that we wanted to check cell wall is targeted or cell membrane is targeted. For checking the targeting of cell wall, we used sorbital cushioning method. What does it mean? Cell wall is the outermost covering. When it is chewed up, the cell is susceptible to swelling. But if you put sorbitol in the medium, there will be a cushioning effect, there won't be any cell swelling, and there won't be any cell death, or cell death will be reduced. That means if we put WSSO together with sorbitol in the medium, in that case, the lesser number of cells will die. If that happens, it means that the WSSO is targeting the cell wall. Similarly, we used ergosterol. Ergosterol, as I was mentioning a little while earlier, it is an important component of cell membrane of fungi. So ergosterol, when we put ergosterol in the medium, and if our WSSO is targeting the cell membrane, particularly by sequestering the ergosterol present in the cell membrane, it is going to bind to the ergosterol present in the medium, and lesser number of WSSO molecules will be available for binding and sequestering the ergosterol present in the cell membrane. In this case also, the effectivity, apparent effectivity of WSSO will be reduced. If that happens, it means that WSSO is also targeting the cell wall. So let's see what is happening over here. Yes, this is what is happening in case of ergosterol and sorbitol. So we see that we see that with ergosterol there is a shift. That means the efficacy is reducing, which means that it is targeting the cell membrane. With sorbitol, also we see that there is a shift in case of WSSO, which means that WSSO is targeting both cell wall and cell membrane. That means it is not leaving any option for Candida auris to find a way out or dodge the effects. Sorry. Okay. This is a microscopic study in which we have done lactophenol cotton blue staining to see that yes, things are oozing out of the cell when they have been treated with WSSO. Now I was mentioning about biofilm formation being one of the very effective methods of developing drug resistance. We checked whether ashwagandha seed oil is effective in removing or disrupting or preventing biofilm formation by Candida auris. So these are the quantitative data, but I would like to draw your attention towards the Scanning electron microscopic images over here. As you can see, the untreated cells have very nice biofilm over here. Fluconazole treatment is not effective against the biofilm. Again, amphotericin B is also not effective against the biofilm. But when you start treating the biofilm with different concentrations of WSSO, within 24 hours, this is the 24-hour data, within 24 hours, you can see that there is disruption of biofilm. And this is the mature biofilm which was treated with WSSO. This is a pictorial summary of the candida part of the study, wherein I'm trying to convey the message that the moment the oil is coming in contact with the fungal cell, it is acting upon the cell wall and the cell membrane, and this is how there are pores generated, and once the pores are generated, cells cannot survive at any cost. We took this study a bit further, and we also tested in Candida, other species of Candida. In the lab, we tested again Candida albicans, and we got similar results. The most interesting and encouraging result was that when we tested this oil against 14 clinical isolates from different parts of the world, different species of Candida, and we found that the oil is effective against all these clinical isolates, and they are having different degrees of resistance against the available antifungal agents. So with this, we can see that we already have an arsenal against drug resistance in our hand. We are also working towards other resistant microbial pathogens, which I have not included in my talk today. But yes, what I want to say is that Patanjali has already started working towards finding a solution to a global problem which is going to hit the healthcare system very soon if things are not taken care in a timely manner. WHO is scared about the violently increasing drug resistance across the world. Patanjali has already started working on it. And over here, I would also like to mention that WHO has right now got 60 lead molecules, out of which 10 are biologics and 50 are small molecules, but none of them could give promising results. But we have one with us. With that, I come to the end of my session, and I just want to reiterate our mission of Sarve Santu Niramaya. May all be free from illness. And here in Patanjali, we are committed towards offering the world the science of medicine from the oldest medical knowledge base, that is Ayurveda. Thank you for your patience, and I thank Team Patanjali, Team Divya Pharmacy, and Team Patanjali Ayurveda. And this talk cannot be completed without thanking to Param Pujya Swamiji and Param Shraddha Acharya ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Professor Ramesh K. Goyal ji to give his talk upon ethnopharmacology to clinical pharmacology, changing trends and success stories. Professor Ramesh K. Goyal is presently the Vice Chancellor of Delhi Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research University. He has over 45 years of experience in teaching and research, particularly in cardiovascular pharmacology and diabetes. He is the recipient of 76 national and international awards. It is a pleasure to have you here, sir. Let's give him a very warm welcome.
सर्वे भवन्ति सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु माँ कश्चित् दुख भागम भवे। सबसे पहले मैं आभारी हूँ स्वामी जी का, परम पूज्य स्वामी जी का, परम पूज्य बालकृष्ण जी का, जिन्होंने मुझे यहाँ आमंत्रित किया। जब मुझसे पूछा गया कि आप किस टॉपिक पर बोलोगे, तो मुझे बहुत कन्फ्यूजन था कि क्या मैं टॉपिक दूँ। मैं तो फार्माकोलॉजिस्ट हूँ, एक ऐसा फार्माकोलॉजिस्ट जिसकी शुरुआत भले ही गिलोय से हुई थी, पीजी में जब था तो गिलोय के ऊपर प्रोजेक्ट था, लेकिन बाद में मैंने कोई प्लांट पे काम करने की सोची नहीं थी। फिर भी क्रेटेगस एक बसंगली जिसको बोलते हैं, इक्वलेंट टू डिजिटालिस, तिल पुष्पी, जो डिजिटालिस और क्रेटेगस के इफेक्ट्स बहुत सिमिलर मिले और बीच बीच में कुछ काम किया गया। I have worked on different plants, but not too much. Honestly, up to 2000, I was interested in modern science only. But somehow, I got involved in 1999 with one drug, which still I am pursuing. And during COVID, again I took one. So with those examples, I will be talking. But my beginning, I mean, कुछ बातें मैं ज़रूर बताना चाहूँगा। यहाँ आके पहली बार मैं यहाँ आया हूँ, बहुत ही अच्छा लग रहा है कि जो सही मायने में पूछो तो ये जो बात है वो यहाँ साबित होती है, थिंक ग्लोबल बट एक्ट लोकल। ये जो बात है यहाँ पर बिल्कुल सार्थक होती है। कुछ बातें जब मैंने सुनी, हमारे बालकृष्ण जी जब हमारे यूनिवर्सिटी में आए थे तो एक बात जो बताई थी कि वी हैव बीन चैलेंज्ड फॉर द नीम, हल्दी और इवन द बासमती बिकॉज ऑफ द लैक ऑफ डॉक्यूमेंटेशन प्रोबेबली। लेकिन यहाँ पर जो काम किया, कोई भी फॉर ईयर्स टुगेदर वेरियस एजेंसी कुड नॉट डू, बट दे कंप्लीटेड द इथेनो compilation of the ethno wealth source across the world, not India, across the world। और उन्होंने एक सेंटेंस जो बोला था कि विदेशों वालों को भी पता पड़ जाएगा कि उनको कैसे ये IPR का प्रोटेक्शन क्या होता है। तो ये बात मुझे बहुत अच्छी लगी थी एंड आई रियली कॉन्ग्रेचुलेट। दूसरी बात, आज सुबह परम पूज्य स्वामी जी ने बताई that there are thousands of chemicals and this is misleading also. Honestly, I am also feeling that plant is not making thousands of compounds. We isolate one compound, but by putting in different solvents, we are making new compound. We are calling it as a new compound. आप एक प्योर कंपाउंड को अगर इथेनॉल से लेकर के आप आगे चलते चले जाओगे तो hydroxyl group and all that will keep on coming. You will call it as a new compound. It may not be true. This is my theory. I don't know. I may be looking as a mad person that what you are talking, जो बरसों से चलता आ रहा है उसको आप चैलेंज कर रहे हो. But I have certain reservations because I have one plant wherein I found in 8% yield a compound and then it went on working. Anyway, these are the few things I thought I should share, and one more comment I would like to give is about the रविंद्र जी, आचार्य रविंद्र जी ने जो सुबह की जो टॉक दी, बहुत ही impressive टॉक थी, and I personally feel yes, he is also a pharmacologist like me, so but he has taken a good route of the Ayurveda that I also believe now. It's not that I don't believe. मुझे लगता है कि आयुर्वेद में जो लिखा है मॉडर्न साइंस में हमको ट्रांसलेट खाली नहीं करना है। वी हैव टू नॉट ओनली ट्रांसलेट द व्हाट इज रिटन बट इट हैज टू बी अंडरस्टूड इन ए प्रॉपर मैनर एंड दैट्स व्हाट पतंजलि हैज डन रादर देन वी ऑल आर टॉकिंग बट वी आर नॉट मेनी टाइम नॉट इंटरप्रिटिंग इट प्रॉपरली। जस्ट वन एग्जाम्पल, there was Dr. Mahesh Gupta from USA. He came and he gave a talk in one of the cardiovascular conference telling that he has a one gene which is, if it is expressed, then the rats, they may be obese or will not turn diabetic. Sertraline gene it was. Or unhone, then he has worked on the plant, and in the plant it was found that one of the plant, Jambu Phal, is having that gene which affects the gene in such a way that that expression doesn't happen. So he was trying to say the Gajananam Bhut Gadadi Sevitam Kapitva Jambufal Char Bhakshanam. Why? The whole shlok is there. We have that in every puja. Gajananam Bhut Gadadi Sevitam कपित्व जम्बू फल चार भक्षणम उमासु शोक विनाशकारम नमामि विद्येश्वर पाज पंकजम. We are praying it. Probably that hidden words are there in this also. That jambu fal if you take, you will not have diabetes, you may be obese also. So we have to interpret in a correct manner. Anyway, now I will try to be little fast because the time given is also less, and I will see that what I can express. Well, I will not talk how old and how we are. There have been success stories of medicinal plants. Now, things do not end here. See, Videnia, or whether you talk of the Rauwolfia serpentina. ठीक है, Rauwolfia serpentina, it is not used in blood pressure commonly. लेकिन उस Rauwolfia serpentina से हमको जो sympathetic nervous system के बारे में पता पड़ा, उसके बारे में when we came to know that from that simple plant, how sympathetic system works and how drugs can be produced. That is important. Videmnia, again, dopamine and how the theory, everything came from the plant. This is what I want to tell. Well, anyway, I will quickly go through that. We started in the, when we say about the modern ethnopharmacology, all that, initially it started with the pharmacognosy, where the extracts and all they were used. Digitalis was the turning story, that was the turning point, and the first time everybody started talking about the chemicals, phytochemicals. Well, then isolation of chemicals and number of drugs started coming in, strychnine, quinine, nucleotine, they are all from plants. This era continued, and even till today it is going on. But what happened is that collection, cultivation, that became important part, and that's how the science progressed with respect to, you may call it Ayurveda, or you may call it ethnobotany, or what. So all these things in 20th century, these terms started coming in. Ethnobotany, ethnomedicine, traditional medicine, chem, alternate medicine, all these numbers are coming. Alag-alag naam se jaate hain, but yes, these things continue. On modern side, we have got combinatorial chemistry, high throughput screening, combinatorial biosynthesis. Now, why I'm talking is that as such, the time has been changing. The time has been changing from like how the medicines have been changing. The roots which were there from the herbal, in mid-90s, 1950s, it was more chemicals. Today we are talking biopharmaceuticals, monoclonal antibodies, therapeutics. Now all these things are from the simple pulse, the RT-PCR and all that. But it doesn't mean that symptom which was diagnosed, एक वैद्य अगर पल्स से जो diagnosis करता है, शायद वो genomics वाला नहीं diagnose कर पाएगा. Same thing what drugs can do, the speaker before me, what she showed, how Videmnia can treat highly resistant candida infection. Can any chemical do this immediately? No. That is what is the meant and what our science, that's why even I got interested and I continued doing the work. Well, to me, several revolutions have occurred, so that's why I told how trends have been changing. That's why in the title I gave the changing trends in ethnopharmacology or ethnobotany, whatever you call. That yes, first change to me was then the extraction started, and today we are talking different revolutions. To me, like industrial revolutions, various revolutions have occurred. To me, the first revolution was when Hanumanji took the jadi booty from other source, and that it was the time that awareness about the where the things can be here. And then herbariums and all that started, microscopy or what we are talking, and today it is going towards the genomics from the genome-based source identification. Extraction procedures, yes, that was the oldest. And then how equipments keep on taking HPLC, preparative HPLC to have extraction, everything started coming in. To me, it is a revolution again. Characterization, again, characterization, everybody talks of the revolutions, it is again the characterization is like that. Standardizations. Now, some countries make up that you should use this method or that method. See, metal detection. They say, no, your AAS is not correct. It should be IPCMS. Then only they will organize. Why we have to listen? Why we cannot have our Asian regulations? That's what I told 4 years back in the Thailand when I was talking. That our country is having, we are the group of the countries who are having natural wealth. Why not to have our own standards being defined rather than copying what other, where it is not existing, why we have to copy them? So this is what I have been telling. So standardization also should be according to that. So, and now the myths have also been changing. To me, it looks that we used to feel that everything is safe. Now slowly and slowly that myths also started changing with industrial revolutions rather, that older plants, material is less effective and all that. These are all gone. But today, yes, it is said that we have to have scientific investigation. This is what, so in nutshell, I want to tell here that even the regulations have been changing with the time. Every 50 years or every 30 years or 20 years, it is changing. Previously, drugs were available like that. Then manufacturing. Even today, different countries, we should have a consortium of the regulation. Like International Conference on Harmonization, ICH guidelines, like that. These are again the requirement when it comes to the herbals. Well, I will not go into detail how modern and all depends, but modern people, they try to say that show the authenticity, show the specificity, show the standardization. These are the few things which are there. Well, in India, Colonel Ramnath Chopra was the first person who started this. He was a pharmacologist known as father of Indian pharmacology. And at that time, various drugs came out, like Hindustan antibiotics and all that. They were involved. CDRI came in that. Many drugs got from the CDRI, but they could not do continuously, as now we can see soon how Patanjali University will come out with various plants like this. You see, there have been, they say that, okay, they could develop various things, but how many could really go to the market? That is less, unfortunately. There have been various names. I will just like to skip on that. Some success stories have been there. With respect to Ayurveda medicine or traditional medicine, there have been different concepts, different perceptions, and it is always a controversial. As Swami ji ने बताया कि एक विरोधी होके भी मैं successful आज सब इकट्ठे हो रहे हैं. This is the result that yes, we are adopting to the global standard and we are proving our ancient wealth with the global. So concepts are many, but still these things are required. But I feel that you have to start innovation with this idea only. Anyway, the trend has been changed. There was talk of the reverse pharmacology. Okay. Well, in my life as a pharmacologist, when I started my career in 70s, so many revolutions have come. Honestly, even for modern drug, I am unable to find how to go ahead. Sometimes I get lost. Anyway, I will tell only two major success stories. I feel that I could bring something towards the market. One is this anicostima. As I told you, my journey started in 1999 when I started. I accepted one student to work on the herbal. And it was the anicostima laterally, chota chiraita jisko bolte hain. Well, this was selected because I found that in market formulations, it is there, but work done is not to that level. CDRI took it in 1970, but it rejected it afterwards, that it is not working. I don't know. My students rather, we worked on that and we found it was effective. The biggest, why we were successful and not the CDRI at that time, type 1 diabetic model was used. We used type 2 diabetic model and we found correctly the results. We started with the reverse way. We first saw in the patients because the Mamejwa, Ghanwati in Gujarat, they were available for malaria. What the repurposing what we talk is like that. So we felt that the same formulation can be started with the diabetic. We had initially 120 patient study and about 70 patients we followed after 5 years also. And we found that it was up to 9 months we found that yes, they were well controlled. We had all these sorts of studies, much more than what I can think of, but we went up to the mechanical level because we found that it is cardioprotective. We could show in the patients, and then we found acetyl-CoA carboxylase was the enzyme. I was a classical pharmacologist, so I went up to that. That's why I'm saying even up to 20 years, I'm still working on that. Well, we could isolate the compound Swarshamarine up to 8% yield. And that yield differ with the storage, yield differ from the source, from where you are collecting. Everything I will not go into detail because this itself will be 1 hour lecture if I start doing on that. But Anicostema literally was the medicine, and Mamejwa, as I told you. What I am trying to say, the power of study. See, when I had followed the patients who continued to take even after 5 years and they are non-diabetic, they are well controlled, versus those who stopped and continued the allopathy. So they were taking allopathic drug, and other group stopped taking allopathic and mainly on the Anicostema. When these patients were seen after 5 years, you can see initially they had higher level of glucose. After 9 months, they narrowed down, they came down to normal. But after 5 years, those who stopped, their glucose came back to the initial level. Remember, why I am saying? Because this is the situation when they were taking allopathic medicine. They felt that Ayurveda cannot be relied. That's why. But those who continued even after 5 years, their things were well controlled. This is what is the situation, and we had many other parameters. Triglyceride was the main thing because the hyperlipidemia, diabetic patients die because of the cardiac problems. That is a major problem, and cardiac functions were also controlled, and you can see the triglyceride level. So this is how we continued. Cholesterol, of course, there is a controversial, but that is also there. The high HDL cholesterol was down. These are some of the slides I'm showing, and as I told you, the cardiac function as measured with the left ventricular ejection fraction was reduced. What I'm trying to say here is that in Ayurvedic study, the design of the study requires little change, number one. We have to see the correct model to be used, animal model also, if we are trying to prove in that. And we have to understand other things, the mechanism also. This is what we did. Left ventricle end diastolic volume, diameter got increased. What happened? Some of the patients said, "हम तो अब sweet भी खा रहे हैं और हमें कुछ नहीं हो रहा है अब. You have changed our life." That was the sentence. What we did, ethical committee did not allow. It was the 2003 I'm talking. They did not allow us to take more patients क्योंकि हमको जलेबी और दूध एक calculated 1000 calorie देनी थी and then measure their lipid level. To our surprise, when we took that 5, we found that the lipid level of the patient declined immediately after 3 hours to the normal. For those who were not taking, it remained high. So जो बात बता रहे थे, I mean that they are taking food and not getting problem, this was the reason. So this is what we could prove it. I mean, now nobody will say that, okay, this is the method to be used, like that. So that was a lipid tolerance test which we did. There was a report that there is something like some patient got permanently cured also. Is there any genomic effect? Yes. The COMET study indicated that those who were allopathic, actually it is not, the length will indicate that how they could do it. Well, the same drug we took into the Zucker-Fafa rats, genetically diabetic rat, and the company with which I was working, they said, our pioglitazone is working better than your drugs, we don't want to continue. But my observation was that they had other positive effects, but one of the positive effects was that serum MMP level were down by Swelchia-Marin only, not by pioglitazone. यहाँ पर मैंने हिम्मत नहीं हारी, मैंने कहा इसका मतलब बहुत कुछ अच्छा है इस ड्रग में. And it continued, we are still working, we did docking study, I will not go into all those things, but one of the scientists, my friend, took it in the Canada, and they studied directly on the cell lines. My student also went, we made various compounds also, and we found that yes, it was a success. There were two streams, one is anti-diabetic, another is anti-obesity effect. At the cellular level, we could detect. What I'm trying to say that with the modern science, clubbing the modern versus that Ayurveda, you can get it. So today, if we see drug discovery, if you ask any modern scientist, he will say, go with the understanding of the disease first, and then go to the drug. Well, that's what Ayurvedic also do. Now, during COVID, what happened? I was free from my administration, it was a lockdown, and we had a follow-up of the first COVID deaths of 200 patients, and we found that they are linked to the renin-angiotensin system. The diabetes, cardiovascular, every complication could be described on the basis of renin-angiotensin system. ये बात थी यहाँ पर. Now, soon I came to know that within, it was not my discovery, but ACE2 was the target, angiotensin converting enzyme 2. So virus has an active site which is the ACE2. N protein or S protein को जाने दीजिए, important है कि कौन से cell को, और that is also very specific to T cells. Probably that is the difference कि immune disturbance था diabetes में, उसमें COVID में. But what type of immune response? It was T cell specific. There we lost wrongly. Wherever some people tried immune in general, no, that was not correct. It should have been targeted to T cell immunity only. Well, another interesting thing, I am a pharmacologist and physiology also. See, ACE2 was known in renin-angiotensin in 50s. It was only thing that sodium potassium ही balance करता है. No. After 80s, we came to know it is a hypertension. After 90s, it was a retinopathy, cardiomyopathy. ACE2, it came up. This ACE2 in particular was discovered in 2002. Till COVID, nothing was known. Only we went on pathways and pathways. There, we came to know that it affects lungs, fibrosis. There we came to know everything. And the story is that, I mean, I don't want to go into detail, but at that time in month of July of 2020, I thought, let us target this structure and ACE2. Now this figure has come now. I was trying to talk in 2020, the same figure, that how this renin-angiotensin is affecting all. What you got, whether heart attack, whether kidney failure, whether problems of diarrhea, whether the liver fibrosis, lung fibrosis, vasculature, everything was ACE2 related, and now it has come. Even the mental disorders. Well, what we did, we went in a reverse way. हमने एक्सट्रैक्शन और ये सब करके सोचा नहीं. We with the experts of Ayurveda, we asked आपके हिसाब से इस टारगेट में कौन हो सकता है, and then we found few plants. So these were dogged. Now we started with the modern thing that okay, let us have हर एक प्लांट को कोई भी उठा के देख लो, वर्ल्ड के केमिकल्स के नाम पता पड़ जाएंगे कि इसमें ये केमिकल्स हैं. I am sure, no, you must be, every plant, some chemical must be shown if it has been even little worked. So I asked my collaborator, please, faculty and staff, do that. Incidentally, I was invited in Canada to give a paper, which I published, September, that yes, what could be the targets. And then we went in a way that using this bioinformatics, different plant chemicals, we got 26 hits, and based on that, we selected the plants. The plants selected Solanum, Acalypha, and all these because they were in the Kadha. So I included that. Even with them, there was not much talked. Now I was trying to see only and only ACE2. बोलते ना कि अर्जुन की आँख सिर्फ उस पे लगी हुई थी. Although I tried ACE2, 81 receptor, 82 receptor, RDRF, everything was tried at a time. And the result was that we sent the sample because India में कोई करने को तैयार नहीं था हमारी चीज को. They were all afraid of that thing. The formulation was sent to US, University of Missouri, on our personal relation. They did it, and he was asking कि ये तो भाई पहली बार देख रहा हूँ कि ऐसा डोज रिस्पॉन्स कब आ रहा है इसमें. It was correct. जो हमने हाइपोथेसाइज किया था कि वायरस को एंटी वायरल इफेक्ट कैसे हो सकती है, it was proof. Directly we got the proof. By God grace, in India we are having like SLA, the state licensing authority, we could get approval for the clinical trial. In clinical trial, I included a group. At the 5-day, we have to see what is the viral load. You can see those who were on our treatment versus those who were on the standard treatment of ICMR. You can see the difference. Within 5 days, 50% patient became negative. 7 days, 98%. Whereas in that other group which was not taking, it was not even 100%. Well, we have several things, but even the WHO clinical scale or dyspnea scale, we found the results. And I have been reading the papers. I could not find this type of separation in the Kalpan-Mayer curve plot, which is a clear indication that yes, this is a very powerful drug which can be used. Well, people are talking of different parameters, but we could find the difference mainly in the IL-6. Everybody knows what is the significance of IL-6 in COVID. Well, what I am trying to say, and yeah, I hope I'm now coming to the end, that during COVID I approached like this. It was a herbal approach. We first tried to understand the disease. Based on the bioinformatics, we selected the plants. Based on that, we went to the study directly and the herbal formulation because it was a repurposed. It was mentioned in the Ayurveda, we could do it. And based on that, we had a clinical trial also, functional studies also, and we had the formulation. This is what is the main thing. There are, like, actually I thought of like plants to patient, it was an herbal. I thought of talking about the herbals, but I will not go into detail. Let our herbs become, the food becomes the medicine. I will not go into that, but maybe some other time we can have. I will like to say only one thing, that we should not, many times it happens, there is a generation gap. Ayurveda or ancient people, they, oh, no, we don't believe in Ayurveda, this modern thing. The modern people will say, no, we don't believe in what is written. It has to be together. We have to understand each other, utilize the techniques as per the requirement, and surely there will be success. So it has to be together. My thanks to my collaborators, For the first, these are the collaborators at the PERD center in different places, and we could have the work completed with the anti-diabetic. And during COVID, what I got, it is because of all these people who could contribute to me. So thank you very much. What I say that yes, boots are love. We have to convert the challenges into the real. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. I invite questions from the audience.
Any question? Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
So it was a wonderful session. I learned a lot, even though I am not from Ayurvedic background. You have used two tools. One you have mentioned about WHO's tool. Is it the quality of life tool you have used, or there are two tools mentioned over there? Is it the QOL or the other one?
You are talking of that drug for COVID?
Yes, sir. Yes,
See,
sir.
WHO scale, like
Yeah.
what are the hospitalization and all that, they have given that scale. So as per that scale, how your patients are fitting in before treatment, after
No,
treatment.
that I
and
understand, pre-test and then the post-test. And it
Yes,
must be an
yes,
experimental
yes,
study,
yes.
experimental and control.
Yes,
But
yes.
I'm asking at the quality of life, which component you have taken out of it? The sleep component or the fatigue component or the basic nutrition component?
Yeah, see, for the COVID, there were specific guidelines. So that WHO scale was very clear. It was not
It's a
changing
standardized tool.
lifestyle.
It's a standardized tool, yeah.
But like COVID had variety of these problems, so that's why they narrowed down to certain things. But respiration was the main thing. in
Main
that.
respiration.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank
In
you
there,
so
I
much.
mean. Afterwards we found, and I have a feeling that our drug should be more effective in any type of post-COVID complications.
And the p-value also was less than 0.05.
yes,
And that makes
it
a
was
difference.
beautiful.
Thank
I mean,
you.
that is it.
Thank you very much, sir. अब मैं परम श्रद्धेय श्री आचार्य जी महाराज से पुनः निवेदन करती हूँ कि वे मंच पर आकर प्रोफेसर गोयल जी को मोमेंटो प्रदान करें। साथ ही मैं प्रोफेसर मीनू सिंह जी को भी मंच पर आमंत्रित करती हूँ। और मैं परम श्रद्धेय श्री आचार्य जी महाराज से निवेदन करती हूँ कि वो प्रोफेसर मीनू सिंह जी को भी फेलिसिटेट करें। परम श्रद्धेय आचार्य जी को सादर धन्यवाद। मीनू मैम to please stay on the stage, please, as we are going to have your presentation. Professor Meenu Singh will give her talk on herbal medicines, the integrative approach. She is presently the Executive Director and CEO at AIIMS Rishikesh. She has been the pioneer in evidence-based child health in India. It's a pleasure to have you here, ma'am.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, good morning actually, not yet afternoon, to everyone. And it's been a great pleasure for me to be here in Patanjali, and my homage and my salutations to Acharya Shri Ramdev, Swami Ji Shri Ramdev, and Param Shraddheya Acharya Balakrishna Ji for organizing this place in such a beautiful way that today everyone in the world is actually looking forward to visiting this place to learn about Ayurveda and traditional Indian medicine and yoga, which has become the way of life, which is actually the way of life, but now people do accept it as a way of life, as the movement for popularization of this particular, I would say, branch of medicine. I actually don't belong to the Ayurvedic, or even now I would say that not even the allopathic medicine. I'm actually a pediatrician and I deal with children. And we deal with children in very different ways. And what I'm going to be talking, I practice evidence-based medicine. I had a Center for Advanced Research in Evidence-Based Medicine at PGI Chandigarh, which is still going on there. And we have Center for Evidence Synthesis in AIIMS Rishikesh and Public Policy. So today what I'm going to talk about is integrative medicine. We know that today we have Ayurveda which has come to a pedestal, and all other branches of Ayush, which is Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, homeopathy, Siddha, and all other disciplines, they have risen to a level that they can treat, they can make patients feel the wellness inside them. But to prove all that, it has always been said, and I was just talking to our WHO functionary, Dr. Radha, who's just visiting us, that so much of practice is still not evidence-based. And that is why, we are looking for these p-values, we are looking for n, the number, whether the number of patients which had been included in the trials are sufficient, whether the effect size which we were looking forward to has been attained or not. So we kind of look at results of Ayurvedic medicine or traditional medicine with a different lens. Although we have had several of our senior professors who say that actually you don't have to look at things from Western standards all the time. You need to create your own standards, and you need to then decide whether the treatment that is being used is actually valid or not. So integrative medicine is a concept which is now being introduced, and many of the AIIMS, All India Institutes of Medical Sciences, which have been created, are starting departments of integrative medicine. We know that to diagnose a disease, whereas the traditional medicine would rely on some traditional means like judging the pulse, its various varieties, looking at the urine, or looking at many other factors, examination. But there are certain modern investigations which are also required to make a diagnosis certain. And after we have definition of that disease, which is based on the diagnosis, are the therapies which come in. And those therapies they could be drugs which have been isolated from plants itself, or they have been created in the labs by pharmaceuticals which are being used. They could be physical exercises like yoga, and not only physical, it could also be training your mind, and what we now call as mind-body medicine. That is something which one may have to practice when we want to. So we know that there are different routes to God, so there are different routes to health, and all these components of Ayush and the other allopathic medicine are basically different routes to getting health. Although in some of them you may find that there are some side effects and some toxic effects which may also be there, and we really need to study those toxic effects, because we don't want to end up with some of the practices that our liver gets damaged or our kidneys get damaged, or there are even neurological symptoms which may appear earlier. So it's very important that patients who are being treated with different kinds of medicine, they are followed up for a period of time in the form of cohorts, and we try to see whether or not they have certain side effects or not. And those side effects can be picked up much earlier with the help of biomarkers, and they can also be picked up by having some biochemical disturbances which may appear earlier. So in that case, all the studies which are starting on using traditional vis-a-vis allopathic medicines, we must monitor the progress of those patients and try to see whether or not any early side effects or any early toxic effects are appearing or not. We know that this oneness is something which is now a very, very important factor. We are in the age of One Health. And as you all know that India is in the G20 presidency. And if you look at the logo of G20 presidency, below that is written Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, which means that the whole world or the whole universe is one. And we have not just got to worry about ourselves, that means about human beings. We also have to worry about animals, we have to worry about birds, about plants, everything which is there in the ecosystem we have to be worried about, because that is something which will make this universe worth living. And as you know, otherwise we are going to end up having pandemics as we had COVID. And you know, COVID came from animals. And there were several other animals who would be carrying viruses, which would just be looking at some opportunities to infect the humans and other animals who are there. So this One Health approach is very important, and so is this attitude in science. You know, this Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam is part of a shlok, which is Ayam Nijay Pariveti Garana Laghu Chetasam Udar Charitanam Kyo Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, meaning thereby that मैं बड़ा हूँ या छोटा हूँ, ये मेरा है, ये तेरा है. It's a very small, you know, it's a small minds who think like that. Those who are great minds, they would think that everything belongs to everyone. Of course, there are patents, there are competitions, but if you pool the resources, you would end up getting the best results. And that is why this oneness in health, which is very important. And I can see very young students who are sitting here, and I think for them, it's important to develop this kind of approach right in the beginning of their studentship, or you know, when they are getting into professions, that they would learn to pool resources, and this kind of attitude is something which is extremely important. So that is why joining of paths can lead to greater achievements, and that is how integrative medicine, which would join the path of traditional as well as modern medicine, and we do expect that this would lead to better results. And these things are anyway coming forward. We just had a talk, heard a talk by Dr. Goel that how using traditional plants and were effective in reducing the COVID virus in, I think there were both in vitro studies, and in vivo also it has been seen that so many plants were useful in treating patients of COVID. We had glycyrrhiza, which is mulati, which is very useful even in coughs which are of different types. We have Acorus calamus, which is used, Vasha, which is actually used in many asthmatic patients and probably had been used in COVID as well. Then there's zinc combinations of these have actually been seen to reduce the replication of viruses in cell lines. So when you integrate the two things, that means the traditional knowledge and the current means, you can actually get in much better results. So what I want you to know is that there is need for studying the outcome. That means when you have a question in mind, for example, say you have a question in mind that a plant product, say coming from Sadabahar, which is a plant, which is Vinca species. From that you get, some people you chew the leaves or even take the flowers dipped in water, and they say that this might reduce diabetic hyperglycemia. And that is something which is traditionally part of many anti-diabetic medicines. So we have to be very, very careful, and we have to be very, very immaculate in finding out the results, that means the outcome. So you have a question whether Sadabahar is effective in diabetes, in controlling diabetes. So that is a question that you have. So you have a population which is diabetics, you have an intervention which is this plant product, you have a parallel group or comparator which would be patients who are getting a placebo or not getting this particular active intervention, and then you have the outcome. So this outcome has to be measured by somebody who is actually not part of the trial. It has to be an unbiased observer, and that outcome, which may be supported by biochemical investigations, for example, doing blood levels or doing insulin resistance and insulin antibodies, so many things which can be done in these patients. And then we come out with results which would be called evidence-based. And of course, this is mostly done in the form of randomized control trials, but then there are non-randomized control trials also, which are, say, observational studies, which are done over a longer period of time. They also can provide us with some answers. We know that some systems can be good for holistic health, and we know that traditional medicine like yoga and then meditation, reflection, balanced thought and action, pure diet, and as we were talking about diet, let diet be the medicine. And you know, we are today living in the year of the WHO, year of the millet. And millet is a food which has been, you know, these days called by our Prime Minister as the Sri Ann. Something which was the best kind of food, which has actually gone into oblivion in several places because as the Green Revolution came in, because we had so much of food scarcity that we had to rely on certain varieties of wheat which were popularized all over the country. And the agriculture or the farming of millets really went down. And we are living in the state of Uttarakhand where millets used to be the main staple food. And probably that was also the reason of many of our people who, you might have seen that people having long lives in these mountains because they have been consuming that kind of food. So food actually can be medicine. It is not just millets. There are so many other foods which are important and which should become part of our diet. A lot of vegetarianism is very important. Then associated with that, other spices which, you know, our mothers use them every day in the kitchens. And whenever we are cooking, they are also medicines. There are some of them, especially black pepper. You know, it's part of so many preparations which are used for even respiratory ailments because pepperine seems to increase the absorption of certain other medicines from the gut. So all these things, as they are added to foods, they tend to become medicines. And that is why all these systems, if they are integrated, they become part of our health system. So this amalgamation of Ayurveda, homeopathy, Unani, and allopathy may not be possible totally. We know that you cannot have, you know, you can just not start some formulations where you have everything together. Because every system does have its own individuality and its own points which need to be again studied very scientifically so that if you want to amalgamate them, you amalgamate only points which can be together. You can't be combining apples and oranges. You need to have system where you can integrate those whatever techniques you are using in a proper way. So that is another very important aspect of integrating different systems. So this study of structure and function is central to all components, but the mode and constitution of therapeutic approaches may lead to some confusion. For example, we have natural products, and for natural products, we may have medicinal plants or other products which may be ingested, topical or inhaled. We may have nutritional components like probiotics, prebiotics, then phytochemicals, dietary plants, herbs and spices. So all these come under the category of drugs, and even vitamins and minerals would also come as nutraceuticals. And then we have essential nutrients, and then the next step is food as medicine. We have food and microbiome metabolites, which are also important. And microbiome, you know, is something, the bacteria which are inside us, inside the gut, they tend to modulate even our thinking, our response to medications, our ability to suppress proliferation of cells which ultimately lead to cancer formation or even non-communicable diseases. So all these things are ultimately linked to what we are consuming. Then excessive use of antibiotics, which is so harmful, which actually changes our microbiota. And that is one reason why we always advise breast feeds to be given to babies and not give any other antibiotics or any other products to the babies, so that they develop a microbiome right in the beginning in their guts, which saves them for several diseases which are of adult onset. Then psychological interventions, which are mind and body practices like mindfulness and spiritual practices, psychotherapy, which is otherwise part of psychiatry, but it is now becoming part of all medicine. Then meditation, breathing and relaxation techniques, art, music, dance, that also is something has got a role to play in our psychological health. Then education, and there are many other systems, even Chinese Tai Chi and several other systems which are akin to yoga, and they also contribute to wellness. And of course, manual therapies, etc., are heat and cold therapy like Panchkarma and all other things. They also can contribute towards wellness. Acupressure is another technique, acupuncture and acupressure, which again came from China. That also has a role to play in pain relief and many other ailments. So what I mean to say is that the surgery, devices, and other medicines, they actually form a very, very small, minuscule part of medicine and wellness. And a lot of wellness can actually be achieved with these traditional means. So I just came across an article which was about ethno-medical investigation of medicinal plants of Chakrata region in Uttarakhand, which is used in the traditional medicine for diabetes by the Jonsari tribe. And it's been seen that in this particular, this is where we are in Uttarakhand. Where is the pointer? Yes. So this is where we are, and then in this particular district, this is a tribe which uses these medicines. And there is this is a schematic diagram showing anti-diabetic mechanisms of selected and surveyed plants and their bioactive amines. So they have, they achieved normal glucose function with insulin secretion, with glucose influx, with peripheral glucose uptake, with hepatic glucose uptake and beta cell dysfunction. And these are, I mean, you may not be able to read, but these are all the plants in green which have been written, which have been used for treatment of diabetes by this tribe itself, which has a very sound scientific basis actually. So these are just one of the examples, and we know that plants to medicines is not a new concept, and plants yield a large number of medicines to us, and sometimes the whole plant itself is a medicine, or sometimes just the leaves or the flowers or the roots, and they yield active components which are known as active principles, which are used as drugs in several ways. So these were some of the concepts I wanted to talk to you, and they have been used as sources of all medicines. There are plants like Arjuna, which are useful in, like even in hypertension, heart disease. There are plants like Sadabahar, which is used in diabetes. There are several plants which are useful for respiratory ailments. So I think we need to rely heavily on this and combine all these treatments with the allopathy, and so that some of these naturally occurring molecules which are derived from plants can act as templates for several new drugs to be used for diseases where there are no satisfactory cures. We know that many of these can just be, you can copy the structure of these natural products and then create new drugs out of them. So in fact, using artificial intelligence, it has now become possible to have this database with us, and we can have this in silico kind of production of medications, and which would open the ways for several new therapies which may be available for cancer. They can be available for non-communicable diseases. They can also be available for communicable diseases. So I think this field is really wide, and I really appeal to all the students who are sitting here. I think they should take up this particular approach towards medicine. So with that, I thank all of you for patient listening.
Thank you very much, ma'am. अब मैं एक बार फिर परम श्रद्धेय श्री आचार्य जी महाराज से सादर निवेदन करती हूँ कि वो प्रोफेसर मीनू सिंह जी को मोमेंटो प्रदान करें.
Now I'd like to invite upon stage Dr. Rakesh Maurya ji to address the topic Application of Traditional Knowledge in Search of Potential Leads for Drug Discovery. Dr. Maurya is the Chief Scientist, Medicinal and Process Chemistry Division, Central Drug Research Institute. Dr. Maurya has made significant contributions in the field of phytochemistry by discovering more than 700 secondary metabolites, including hundreds of novel bioactive compounds from several Ayurvedic and Indian medicinal plants. Dr. Maurya has been awarded Indian Association for the Study of Traditional Asian Medicine, India, in memory of Shri Gopal Das Parikh, a leader in the Ayurvedic history. It's a privilege to have you here, sir.
Thank you for your kind introduction. I am grateful to Param Puj Swami ji, Param Puj Acharya ji for providing me the opportunity to participate in this conference. I am also thankful to Dr. Anurag Vasne ji for giving me the invitation to share some of my research work. I would like to thank again to Param Puj Swami ji. He has given me the opportunity to perform the yoga with him yesterday. I am natural product chemist. Over the past years, we have been engaged in chemical studies of Indian medicinal plants. The major objectives of these studies were the isolation and characterization of compounds responsible for biological effects of the plant, search for the presence of these bioactive compounds, and study of biologically inactive but chemically and structurally interesting compounds of the plant. Today's presentation aims to provide in brief an outline picture of application of traditional knowledge in search of potential leads for drug discovery. Use of plants as a medicine goes back to the early men. Throughout the ages, humans have relied on the nature for their basic needs, for the production of foodstuffs, shelter, clothing, means of transportation, fertilizer, flavor and fragrance, and medicine. Thus, the plants have formed the sophisticated traditional system of medicine that have been in the existence for thousands of years. The great civilization of ancient Indian, Chinese, North Africans have provided the written evidence of men utilizing the plants for treatment of wide variety of diseases. In India, the major traditional system of medicine are Ayurveda, Siddha, and Unani. Of these, Ayurveda is prevalent in India as well as among the neighboring countries of India. Plant to medicine. This is excellent example which shows plant to patient. When every one of you know that when Lakshman became unconscious in battlefield, Hanumanji brought the Sanjeevani booty, that is medicinal herb from Dronagiri Parvat to treat him. I have classified the use of traditional system of medicine into 3 phases. The first phase where all the systems, Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Chinese, all these systems, they use crude plant products for treatment of their ailments. In second phase, that is in the early part of the 19th century, attempts were made to isolate the active principles from the respective plants. That is like morphine was isolated in 1805 from Papaver somnifera. Similarly, all these compounds were isolated, and structure of all these compounds were established in 20th century. Third phase, that is beginning of the new era. First landmark was the isolation and structure determination of reserpine from Rauwolfia serpentina. This was introduced in 1953 as anti-hypertensive agent. It stimulated the research in natural product as a source of new medicine. Second landmark was the isolation of vincristine and vinblastine from Catharines roseus. This plant was used as an anti-hyperglycemic agent, but later on it is investigated. This is also used as an anti-cancer agent. The present interest, the plant drug offers a cure for many diseases which do not find lasting remedies in modern medicine. If the plant drugs of this used judiciously have better compatibility with human system because these compounds, these molecules are already in the biological system. Therefore, what we believe that may have less side effects. These molecules, when isolated from plant source, they can be used as a direct therapeutic agents or biochemical molecular probes or prototype for converting these molecules to better molecules. Therefore, in initial step in the drug discovery is the lead identification. Traditional system of drugs have been the starting point for the discovery of many important modern drugs, like artemisinin, isolated from Artemisia annua, Taxol, and this etoposide and tenposide, these are the modified compounds. They were earlier isolated and these were modified. Therefore, traditional system of drug have been the starting point for the discovery of many important modern drugs. World Health Organization has estimated that 50% of the top 20 drugs are still derived from plant source. And further 50% of the top 20 drugs are related to one or in other way to the plant research. We have some successful studies and we have also worked and developed products from plant to patients in the area of stress, diabetes and osteoporosis. But today I will briefly describe only the formulations we have developed for osteoporosis. The strategy that we follow for development is collection of well-authenticated plant material. Once this collected plant material was subjected to preparation of extract, once extract is prepared, this is biologically evaluated. Only the biologically active extract is taken up for fractionation with solvent-solvent fractionation, like hexane, chloroform, butanol, and water. These fractions are again biologically evaluated. Only the biologically active fraction is taken up for bioactivity guided isolation, structure determination, and then these compounds were again biologically evaluated. The biologically active compound serves as a lead generation, molecular sterilization, biochemical pharmacological tool, or in the drug development, preclinical pharmacology, safety evaluation, clinical trials. This may be taken as a pure compound or a fraction containing pure compound. So this is the process that we have adopted in the development of our formulation. The collection of the plant, we collect the plant at random to survey as much as diversity is possible. Second, the information cited in ethnomedicine, folklore, or Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani. These are the methods for the collection of plant material. Osteoporosis is a serious public health problem. It is one of the major problems in our aging society. Osteoporosis results in the bone fracture in the older member of the population, especially in postmenopausal women. The quality of life is greatly impaired in persons with severe osteoporosis, not only because of their pain and deformity, but also because of their limited ability of movement and fear of breaking more bones. Osteoporosis occurs when bone loses maximum amount of their protein and mineral content, particularly calcium. Bone is living tissue that constantly being renewed in two-stage process called resorption and formation. In resorption stage, the old bones are being broken down and removed by the cells called osteoclast. and new bones are formed by the cells called osteoblasts. During our lifetime, the speed of these osteoclast and osteoblast formation changes during our lifetime. During the age of, until the age of 30th, here the osteoblast activity is maximum. These are the years when body builds up the skeleton and collects the maximum amount of bone. Between the age of 30 and 50 here, the speed of those formation and resorption are almost the same. The problem starts here. When the women, they stop producing bone protecting hormone called estrogen, their bone becomes perforated, and there are number of drugs like HRT, riloxifene, bisphosphonate, calcitonin. These are the drugs. They can delay the resorption process, but they cannot stop the bone decay. But both men and women over the age of 60 or 65, they lose the bone because here the osteoblast activity is very less, becomes weak. And there are number of drugs for treating this, like parathyroid hormone. This is the last line of therapy. This is given through injection. This costs about 25 to 30,000, which is very expensive for our Indian population. Therefore, there's need to find out some alternative source for this. These drugs have certain number of side effects. I'm not going to explain. We have investigated 53 Indian medicinal plants for osteoporotic activity. Just I will describe few here. One of the plant is Butia monosperma. In Hindi, this is known as dhak or known as flame of the forest. This is known that if the aqueous paste of this stem bark is applied to the fracture place, it promotes the fracture healing. We thought if fracture healing involves the new bone formation at fracture site, thus the plant extract might possess bioactive ingredients that could promote bone formation. We were interested to know what are the molecules, which molecules were interested in bone formation. So we prepared the ethanolic extract of this Butia monosperma stem bark and evaluated its activity at the dose of 1 gram per kilogram body weight. There is increase in 30% increase in the new bone surface area. Then we wanted to fractionate to see where activity concentrates. 3 fractions were prepared, and all these fractions were again evaluated. This activity was concentrated only in acetone soluble fraction. We were interested to know this acetone soluble fraction showed about 33% increase in new bone surface area. See, you can see the activity. In extract, it was at 1 gram dose, but in acetone soluble fraction, only 50 milligram dose was there. Here you can see the bone loss is significantly improved with 50 milligram of acetone soluble fraction. We were interested to know what are the molecules. So we have isolated from bioactive fractions 23 compounds. We isolated these compounds with modern isolation techniques and characterized using modern spectroscopic techniques. These molecules belong to the flavonoid class of compounds. All these 23, this is very excellent compound. See, you can see the number, beautiful structures. All these compounds were evaluated in vitro And out of 23 molecules, only 5 molecules enhance the formation of bone. These only 5 compounds enhance the formation of bones. These, again, 5 molecules were evaluated in vitro and in vivo, and these molecules enhance the bone formation. So this can be useful in age-related bone formation. These are the number. We have licensed this product to Natural Remedies for commercialization. Another plant we have developed for osteoporosis from Dalbergia sisu. This again is exactly the same. This bioactivity guided extraction, fractionation, isolation has resulted 16 compounds from bioactive fraction prepared from Butea monosperma leaves with ethanolic extract. You can see the ethanolic extract and butanol soluble fraction significantly improve the bone formation. These compounds were isolated and characterized, and these compounds are very important compounds. See, isoflavonoid glycosides. Structures were determined using spectroscopic analysis, and all these compounds were again evaluated both in vitro and in vivo. And one of the molecule, that is novel molecule, which is shown in blue, this is the novel molecule, first time reported in literature by us. This is isoflavonoid disaccharide. And this compound shows threefold increase in osteoblast differentiation and mineralization, increased microartery structure, bone strength upon oral administration. We have developed a product under the brand name of Reunion. This available in the market for fracture healing. With this product, fracture heals in a month. I will show you just one example. This is a recent example. One of the scientists, he got fracture in his knee, accident in his knee. You can see there's fracture here. On giving our Reunion for about 1 month, see, there's complete heal. And after 3 months, you can see here this Reunion was given only for 1 month. And see the fracture healing. And after 3 months, you can see there's no sign of. And this is available in the market, and there's a big sale of this and earns several crores of rupees with this product, Reunion. Another very serious problem, that is osteoarthritis. This, because of, afflicts mainly the weight-bearing joints such as hip, knees, and causes physical disability. As per reported literature, there is no effective treatment that cure osteoarthritis. Only the knee replacement in the severe patients. Therefore, we have looked several plant materials for treating or having some alternative methods. And in this process, we have identified that Spinaceae oleracea, that is palak. We have shown the osteogenic activity. I'm not going to describe in detail about its activity. And this, again, activity-guided extraction, fractionation, and isolation in osteoarthritic models. These are the 5, 6 active molecules. And this extract shows strong antioxidant, anti-inflammatory activity, and on the basis of in vitro, in vivo experiments on extract, fraction, isolated compound suggests that Spinoscia oleracea has decreased the MIA induced causing defects. Therefore, we suggest that these are the number of experiments that was developed and evaluated or extract fractions. I'm not going to explain this, but with this, we have developed the product under the brand name Joint Fresh. And this Joint Fresh, this is available in the market in the form of sachet and in the form of tablets also. And we have the patent, US patent, European patent, Indian patent, granted patent for this, and this is in the market for joint. We have received this award for the development of this product, Joint Fresh, and we have licensed to Farminja Herbal. They are developing this product and marketing this. Another product, that is Almus wallichiana. This is again stem bark was used. I would like to mention that this Almus wallichiana, this is the plant. No work was reported, not even chemistry, nothing reported in the literature. Only we knew that in Untitled region, they used this bark paste applied to the animals for fracture healing. From there we got the clue, and we thought that to develop the osteoporotic products from here. And again, we prepared the extract fraction from this stem bark. Like stem bark extract shows improvement in the bone mineral density, and fraction also showed improvement in bone mineral density. From here we have isolated eight molecules from active fraction, and these are the molecules, novel molecules. This one belongs to the flavonoid C glycosides. C glycosides are very rare molecules present in the plant, and we are the first to report these new molecules from the nature. And so far, all these molecules were evaluated in vitro, in vivo, both, and we have published number of papers. We have US patent, we have European patent on this product. And one of the molecule, this is the new molecule, this one molecule we have given license to chemistry company in US in $1 million to develop this molecule for osteoporosis to chemistry US, and they are developing this molecule. And we have also received award for development of this product from Cassia occidentalis. I'm not going to present this product. So far we have investigated 53 plants. I have number of positive results, but due to the lack of time, I'm not going to describe here. But out of these 5 products we have licensed for commercialization. Out of these, 1 Reunion and 1 Joint Fresh, they are available in the market for treatment. So this is all that I wanted to tell you from plant to patients. So this is our product developed from plants to patients. I would like to mention here that recently I received an award for contribution in the natural product. Our Param Pujya Swamiji was there in presence of his. I received this award, and you have seen this earlier speaker, Professor Goyal, and Param Pujya Acharya, they have given me this award. I am thankful to my all PhD students. They have done PhD under me. They are well placed throughout India, and they are also in abroad. All these works, this is very little work I have presented here, only few works. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I'll be very happy to receive some questions. Thank you so much. Once again, I'm grateful to Param Pujya Swamiji, Param Pujya Acharya ji for giving me the opportunity to share some of my research work in front of you. In future, I may, if I get opportunity, I will share our products on stress and diabetes, which we have developed from plant to patient. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll keep inviting questions subject to the timing, so keep your questions ready. I might invite the questions later throughout the sessions. Coming on to our next speaker, we have PCIM and H in maintaining quality traditional medicine in India. Dr. Singh is presently the director at Pharmacopoeia Commission for Indian Medicine and Homeopathy, Ghaziabad, under the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. He is also serving as Director in Charge for National Tobacco Testing Laboratory, Mumbai, and Deputy Assistant Director General of Government Medical Store Department, Mumbai. He has more than 36 years of experience in the field of research, QA, and R&D related to analysis of drugs and pharmaceutical products. Let's all give him a very warm welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving this opportunity to be here in front of all of you. As you know that Jivo Jivasya Bhojanam and Jivo Jivasya Ausadham. After serving about 25 years in the field of allopathic medicine, as I done my master's in organic chemistry, then PhD in bioinorganic chemistry from DU, and after that 8 years in the private sector as a quality control officer, and later on from 2001 onwards in the central government, when I joined Central Indian Pharmacopoeia Laboratory at Ghaziabad as a head of R&D, and after that served in the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission for maintaining the standards for allopathic drugs there till 2015. And also afterwards as a director of Central Drug Testing Laboratory under CDSCO. But during the IP Commission, we have developed the herbal drugs, medicinal phytopharmaceuticals monographs. You know that. First time we have well authenticated scientific monographs by taking the ring testing data from the 3 laboratories of Dabur and Bexy and Natural Remedies, which are well authenticated, validated documents verified in our laboratory, and we have added 22 monographs in 2005, and nowadays it is 172 monographs in Indian Pharmacopoeia there. And now, just 4 months ago, I have joined this Ayush Ministry here at Director of PCMH, and now my responsibility is to develop these herbal monographs of these traditional medicines, including Ayurvedic, Unani, Siddha, Sova Rigpa, homeopathy, and all traditional medicines on the same way of scientific, having the all evolution data of scientific, so that people can believe in this Ayurveda and traditional medicines. You know that whenever you wanted any drug has to be effective, efficacy, then you must need a quality medicines. And the quality depends on the standards of that drugs, which are the authoritative book is pharmacopoeia of any drug. Like for allopathic Indian pharmacopoeia, for these traditional medicines, our different 4 pharmacopoeias which we are maintaining here. And maybe in coming days, we will come to a single pharmacopoeia, that is Ayush pharmacopoeia, by integrated all these medicines, traditional medicines. So I will not take much time because between me and your food, I am with, so I will run hurry. So I just want to tell that we are at Ghaziabad, you know that in the NCR region in Uttar Pradesh, in Kamla Nehru Nagar, and we are just 2 months ago, we have this enable accreditation of our laboratory as a ISO 17025 for the testing facilities available in our institute. We have 18 acres of lands where we have 3 pockets. This is the first pocket building, and the second building is in second pocket. And also we have one very good seminar hall in that second pocket, and also our guest house. You can see that our PCIMH is under the Ministry of Ayush, which is previously it was PLM, a pharmacopoeia laboratory for Indian medicine, established in 1970, and also one HPL, homeopathic pharmacopoeia laboratory. And in 2010, PCIM is formed, that is a Pharmacopoeia Commission for Indian Medicine, which is later on added homeopathy in 2015, PCIMH as an autonomous body. And now in 2020, all these 3 bodies merged under the Ministry of Ayush as a subnet office, and now it is a typical subnet office of Ministry of Ayush as Pharmacopoeia Commission for Indian Medicine and Homeopathy. Our vision is to be the nodal agency in establishing the quality standards for drugs of Indian system of medicines and homeopathy. Our mission is to formulate the quality standards of drugs used in the Indian system of medicines and homeopathy to act as the central drug testing appellate laboratory. ISM means Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, and now Sovarik also. Our objectives are to develop the monographs for these formulations and drugs of Indian medicine and homeopathy, and also to publish the compendia supplementary for these pharmacopoeia and also the formularies for these ASU drugs and also for homeopathy, and also other related scientific and regulatory information pertaining to the function of our institute. This is the Apex laboratory nowadays. Previously we have done the testing for state laboratories also for government, but now it is an appellate laboratory, and only the samples which came through the court, that has to be analyzed. We are also impart the capacity building training to drug regulatory authorities and the personnel engaged in the quality control for these Indian medicines and homeopathy. We are maintaining the repositories for authentic reference material in case of reference raw material for these drugs, and also for reference chemical markers repository for establishing the therapeutic significance of these formulations and drugs of these Indian medicines and homeopathy. This is the organization chart. We have scientific and technical wing and also the administrative wing, and under the scientific wing we have our drug testing laboratory, which includes the pharmacognosy, chemistry, microbiology, and pharmacology. We are maintaining their BRS museum also, our herbarium, and also the library. In case of pharmacopoeia development, you can see that we are maintaining the standards of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, homeopathy. We have a little pharmacy also, and very soon we are going to be start that for the purpose of training of the stakeholders. And administration has all other sections. Infrastructure-wise, which I have already told, in pocket 1 we have the drug testing laboratory, microbiology and pharmacology. In pocket 2 also we have a phytochemistry laboratory and pharmacognosy laboratory. And in pocket 3 we have one national herbal garden. And also in pocket 2 we have a herbal garden for ASU drugs, and in pocket 1 a herbal garden for the homeopathic drugs. In Ayurveda we are already supporting for Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia Committee, that is APC, and also to provide the technical support to manufacture the compound formulations of the Ayurvedic medicines, their characterization, providing the classical references, and also for developing the SOPs for these Ayurvedic drugs. In case of Siddha, also the same, we are supporting to our Siddha Pharmacopoeia Committee and support for that manufacture and compound formulations, even for single, and also for developing the SOPs for Siddha. And likewise for Unani and also for homeopathy, we are supporting their Unani Pharmacopoeia Committee and also the Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia Committee. We have division pharmacognosy, which is responsible for the botanical standardization of single plant drug of ASU and NH and ASU formulations also, testing of the samples received from the court and drug inspectors, survey and collection tools for different agroclimatic zones, to maintain the national level BRS repository, and we are also maintaining the herbarium, museum, germ plants bank and herbal garden there, and also for preparing the RRDR of ASU and H drugs. And also we have the facilities of well-equipped laboratory for digital microscopy, for BRS repository, one museum, herbarium and germ plants bank, and also the herbal garden. In the chemistry section, we have the activities like standardization of single drugs of compound formulations of these ASU and H drugs, development of TLC and HPTLC fingerprinting profile for these drugs, R&D for ASU and H drugs and publishing the related scientific data, maintaining the PRS, and also harmonization of these traditional medicines monographs. We have the facility of developing the PRS there also. We have HPTLC, HPLC, ICP, OES, and other modern analytical instruments. In the microbiology, we perform the sterility test and MLTs for these drugs as per our DNC Act and rules. And it was also a well-equipped laboratory. Pharmacology, we have doing the in silico pharmacological studies of constituents of these ASU drugs. In DTL, already we are testing and analyzing the samples received from the court as per our DNC acted rules and setting up the testing protocols for these drugs. We have well-equipped laboratory for this also, and testing, we are testing there the Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani and homeopathic, all these 4 types of samples. In case of training, you can see that we are imparting the capacity building training for not only for drug regulatory authorities, but also for the state drug regulatory laboratories, that is drug analysts, for drug manufacturers, and also for the pharmacy colleges and PG students. They have regularly visited to us, and we organize one-day exposure visit for these students also, and very soon for Ayurvedic, Siddha and Unani colleges, they also will started to visit in our institute. This curricular program is to educate the enforcement and stakeholders about the DNC Act and the rules thereunder, to educate them for stakeholders regarding the concept of GMP, to educate the techniques used in the pharmacopoeia standardization of the ASU and H drugs, and to educate the methods used in the identification and testing of these drugs. These are the curriculum which we have trained them. Already, I have told that we have a service like CDL, that is a CDL like for allopathic, it is CDL Kolkata. For other these traditional medicines, it is CDL for these ASU drugs and homeopathic drugs, and also including Sovaripa. The testing of these drugs should be as per the DNC Act and rules thereunder. We have published the pharmacopoeia for these 4 drugs, impart the capacity building training to the stakeholders and also maintaining the authentic BRS, PRS in our institute. We have the resources like, you know, that HPTLC, AS, GLC, GCMS, FTIR, RC, ICP, OES, and other so on related instruments. We have a medicinal plant garden also. Under the NMPB, we have a project there and developing these medicinal plant garden, including the exotic drugs and greenhouse is under progress, which is very soon will be started. More than about 150 species of medicinal plants are available with our garden. You can see one glimpses of some pictures from our garden. We have a seed bank of medicinal plants there. And we have collected more than 200 seeds of the medicinal plant species used in the ASU-AH drugs. This is the botanical identification for the purpose of botanical identification of raw drugs of traditional medicines. We have digital microscope there. These type of pharmacognosy profile we are giving in our monographs and instrument already standards in coming days, which shows all type of pharmacognosy profile. This is the example of one bark of Amartarka. This is the view of our raw drug repository in our institute. And you can see that we have the oldest museum of our homeopathic drugs, where around 310 authentic samples of medicinal plants and 455 medicinal plants, 15 animal origin drugs, and around about 114 chemical origin drugs used in the preparation of homeopathic drugs has been preserved in our museum at PCIMH. This is the HPTLC for the purpose of phytochemical analysis of raw drugs. You can see nowadays in our pharmacopoeia we are giving these type of identification profile of generated in our laboratory. This is an example of Axilla marmelos. We are also GCMS for the purpose of phytochemical analysis of raw drugs. We have ICP OES for the heavy metal analysis of these raw drugs. And also you can see that we have implemented the pharmacopoeia standards and enforcement authority as per the regulatory provision in the DNC Act. Some landmark already, you know that we have published 2259 monographs of quality standards on single raw drugs in case of ASU and H, out of which 665 for Ayurveda, 139 for Siddha, 338 for Unani, and 1117 for homeopathic drug standards published. And in case of formulation, we have published 203 standards for Ayurveda, 1 for Siddha, and 201 standard for Unani. And in case of formularies, we have published more than 2,000 monographs, out of which more than 1,000 for Ayurveda, 400 for Siddha, and more than 1,200 for Unani medicines. These you can see that already we have published these type of pharmacopoeia, like part 1 and part 2 for Ayurveda, for Unani also, and for Siddha also. These pharmacopoeia are already available with us, and very soon it will be available online. At the time of the COVID-19 outbreak, as you know that we have published these 3 pharmacopoeia standards, even 6, because for pharmacopoeia standards also and formulary also, with the name of Ayush Kvata Churna, Ayush Kutinar Churnam, and Ayush Safoe Joshanda, which includes Tulsi, Dalchini, and other 3 constituents. This was published in the 2021. Recently, in the last year, we have published 3 publications. That is, one is part 1 of our Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia, and also the Ayurvedic formulary, and one Unani pharmacopoeia of India's part 1, that is volume 12, which is just released 15 days ago on the day of Unani Day. We have international collaboration with American Herbal Pharmacopoeia 2 years back. Already we have signed the MOU with USP in 2016, and also we have a MOU with our Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia Convention of the United States. Recently, just 6 months ago, we have signed a MOU with Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission also, because they have 172 monographs of phytopharmaceuticals there, and we are going to produce all these pharmacopoeia in coming one herb, one standard. So in coming days, you can see that one herb, in one monograph, you will see the use of that herb in the Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, Sova Ripa, and so on. That work is started, and already 40 monographs under pipeline, and very soon it is going to be released. These are these monographs. You can see that like Kalmega, Nimba, Toyaka, Haridwar, Yasti, Sati, Pushkara, Vasa, Tulasi, Amalaki, Katuka, Gutuchi, Ashwagandha, and Suti, so on. You can also see that very soon we are going to give all these monographs online. And maybe from the next month, in this month, in March, we are going to stop an online portal where you can see if you want to take one single monograph of any herbal monographs, either it is Ayurveda, Homeopathy, Unani, or Siddha, it will be available online from the within this month. And all these soft copy will be available to all the stakeholders. Already we have just in November, we have organized one training program for Southeast Asian region with the sponsoring by the WHO Zero, where 23 participants from 9 countries, Bhutan, Indonesia, India, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Nepal, Maldives, Timor-Leste, and Bangladesh, they have participated. And we have given them the training, or hands-on training for laboratory-based methods for 3 days. Already you can see that we have, however, in the last 2 years, it was very less number of samples tested, but in this year, and last year we have tested more than 1,000 samples for these ASU and HDEX, and recently more than 200 samples are tested till last month. As per the capacity building training program, already in the last years we have organized these training programs where more than 100 participated in 2021, and then again in this year, till now about 100 participants were there for our training programs. And also in this month, from 20th to 24th, we are again going to organize one training program for the government analysts and drug inspectors of the Western region. We have students visit also. You can see that in this year, till now, about 4,000 students has visited in our institute, including the more than 200 staff. You can see that we are already going to implement the integrated management system, IMS, which is responsible for not only the quality management system, QMS 9001, but also for environment management system 14001, and also occupational health and safety management system 45001, and within 2 months we are going to take these certification also. Already, which I have told, that online portal for selling of pharmacopoeia globally, which is going to be released within this month by our minister. We have already going to collaborate with the WHO. Very soon our laboratory is going to be WHO collaborative laboratory. We have already applied on the recommendation of the WHO Zero office. And we are going to have MOUs with different national importance institutes like our CSIR, ICMR laboratories, or even the NIPERS directors have visited our laboratory and they shown the interest to have the collaboration with us and to sign the MOUs. Very soon we are also planning to have our different regional centers in the north, in the south region, western region, northeast region, and also in the north region which will be happen in coming within 2 years. We are also planning for our already planned this R&D cell for the purpose of giving the trainings to the nearby students of different colleges and universities, and to have the R&D sections there for publishing the research work in the field of these traditional medicines. Already we have a plan for develop another herbal garden of medicinal plants in 10-acre land, which is the project given to us by the National Medicinal Plant Board. We are going to develop infrastructure, state-of-the-art laboratory in the same campus very soon, within next 4 to 5 years as a mid-term policy and mid-term roadmap. And also we have proposed in coming days, if we get the about 100-acre land at Delhi, at the bank of Yamuna, so we are planning to have a very big institute, because world is looking towards us when we have a global center at Jamnagar. So these type of one big institute of should be here, and we are planning for that Ayush University where all the students will learn about the integrated system, not only for the Ayurveda but also including the Unani, Siddha, Sova, Rigpa, naturopathy and yoga, including yoga also. So that we have proposed for that bachelor, master degree and also for PhD degrees in that institutes, which having all type of museums, training centers, not for the national but international level of the institutes we have proposed. Just in the 3 days ago, we have a Chintan Shivar in Kaziranga, where I proposed this and it is accepted. You know that these already, which I told that we have these short-term goals for having the state-of-art laboratory and developing the new revised pharmacopoeia for single and formulations monographs at par with any international standards, develop of chemical reference and botanical reference standards repositories, and going to be MOU or collaboration with technical institutions and laboratories of scientific associations and research wings of government departments and institutions of national importance. We are going to opening the regional training centers of ASU and HTUCs. We are going to establish in silico pharmacology lab, establishing of cell culture lab for molecular studies, for establishing an animal house, pharmacology lab, full equipped natural products chemistry lab, and also to revise pharmacopoeias which are single and formulation monographs, and also the enhancement of the CR and BRS repository to develop the world-class training center with state-of-the-art laboratory, and these type of centers in all the 4 regions of North, East, South, West. You can reach to us on our website, and also we are on the YouTube, Twitter and Facebook, and you can see that every 2 days or 3 days, it is very versatile. Whatever activities is going in our institute, that has to be put up on our website of pcimh.gov.in. You can visit and see the activities which we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. May I now invite on stage our next speaker, Dr. Ashok Sharma ji, for his talk on anti-cancer potential of Indian medicinal plants against ovarian cancer. Dr. Sharma is present. His team is exploring the potential of AI in oncology, harnessing big data and advanced computing to provide personalized diagnosis and treatment for cancer patients. He is the recipient of multiple awards. He has been the principal investigator in multiple projects for gynecological cancer. It's a pleasure to have you here, sir. Let's all give him a very warm welcome.
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। आप सभी को बहुत बहुत नमस्कार। आदरणीय पूज्य स्वामी जी, आदरणीय श्रद्धेय स्वामी आचार्य बालकिशन जी, सभी डिग्नेटरीज और प्यारे स्टूडेंट और साथियों, आपको मेरी तरफ से बहुत बहुत नमस्कार। मैं अपने डॉक्टर वासना जी के इनविटेशन पर, आचार्य जी के इनविटेशन काफ़ी बार यहाँ आया हूँ। मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जैसे मैं अपने घर में ही दोबारा आया हूँ, और मुझे कई बार सौभाग्य प्राप्त हुआ है अपने व्याख्यान को देने का। बाय ट्रेनिंग मैं एक रिसर्चर हूँ और मेडिकल ऑन्कोलॉजी और कैंसर बायोलॉजी में रिसर्च करता हूँ। प्लांट पे मैंने अभी थोड़ा बहुत काम स्टार्ट किया है। अपनी टॉक मैं डुअल लैंग्वेज में ही रखूँगा, मिक्स इंग्लिश और हिंदी। और आप सबसे रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा कि आपका कोई भी क्वेश्चन हो तो आप प्लीज़ मुझ में बीच में इंटरप्ट कर सकते हैं और पूछ सकते हैं। ये क्वेश्चन, ये जो टॉक है मैंने स्टूडेंट्स के हिसाब से ज़्यादा बनाया है। ओके, जैसे कि हम देख रहे हैं यहाँ पर नारी शक्ति बहुत ज़्यादा है। मैं आचार्य जी को धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूँ कि बिना नारी शक्ति के हम लोग आगे बढ़ ही नहीं सकते, क्योंकि कोई भी जो बेटी है, बहन है, माँ है, वो किसी भी घर का सेंट्रल पॉइंट है। अगर वो उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो हम पूरा परिवार, पूरा देश डिस्टर्ब होता है। इसलिए हमारे वेदों में भी लिखा है, यत्र नार्यस्तु पूज्यन्ते नमन्ते तत्र देवता। तो मैं सभी मातृशक्ति को भी नमस्कार करता हूँ। और जैसे कि मेरे टॉक का विषय है एंटी कैंसर पोटेंशियल फॉर इंडियन मेडिसिन प्लांट अगेंस्ट कैंसर, एक बहुत पुराना अपना एक स्लाइड है जो वेदाज में लिखा हुआ है कि आयुर्वेद की मान्यता है कि जो भी कुछ भी पदार्थ कोई भी व्यक्ति खाता है, यह उसके लिए दवा भी बन सकता है और जहर भी बन सकता है। लेकिन ये इस बात पर डिपेंड करता है कि उसने क्या खाया है, कितना खाया है, कब खाया है। तो वो ही फूड जो उसके लिए एक अच्छी दवाई भी है, तो उसके लिए वो जहर भी बन सकता है ना। तो इसमें आयुर्वेद ने ये कॉन्सेप्ट हजारों साल पहले दे दिया था। तो हमें लाइफस्टाइल के अंदर अपना बड़ा ध्यान रखना चाहिए। और गीता में भी एक बहुत अद्भुत श्लोक है, यातायाम गत्रसम पूति प्यूषितम चयतहम उच्छष्टिमपि चामेध्यम भोजनम तामस प्रिमेयम। मतलब कि जो भी भोजन अतपका है, रस रहित है, दुर्गंध है, बासित है और अपवित्र है, वो तामस लोगों, मतलब जो बुरी दृष्टि के लोग हैं, जिनकी थिंकिंग बहुत गंदी है, उनके वो बहुत अच्छा लगता है। और हम बोलते भी हैं कि जैसा खाए अन्न वैसा रहे मन। तो ये गीता में देखो कितने साल पहले गीता लिखी गई, उसके अंदर भी ये है। तो हमारे वेदाज में ऑलरेडी बताया गया है कि किस तरह का फूड, किस तरह का खाना हमें खाना चाहिए, किस समय कितना लेना चाहिए। और आई विल गिव सम फैक्ट्स इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू which indicate, which confirm that is a honey bee. In last lecture, last time when I came, already saw this slide. You see, there are lot of bees, female bees, worker bees. Only one bee become a queen because their competition, the queen which get the chance to eat protein-rich royal jelly. So that bee become a queen, and this queen is a big size. Approximately 2,000 eggs are laid down. And interesting thing is that all bees, female bees, are genetically similar. Only one bee which get a chance to eat royal jelly, that she become a queen. So that shows the importance of the food, which is already confirmed and indicated in our ancient time, in our Vedas and literary Gita. And you see, there are some Hollywood heroes. And these are basically, they are using the recreational drugs. Recreational drug basically taking the revenge from the genome, human genome. You see, after taking the recreational drug, how much fast time period, 2004, 2008, 2000, 2001, how easy they are, early they are going to old. So basically, these all recreational drug taking the much quicker revenge from the human genome and fasten the aging process. So that few example I saw how our food habit, our thinking, our lifestyle affecting our age, our lifestyle. And you see, this is the common ingredients present in every kitchen. हर भारतीय रसोई में ये इंग्रेडिएंट्स होते हैं. These are full of antioxidants. That is reason I कहा कि मातृ शक्ति हमारी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि पूरा घर का खाना बनाना, कैसे बच्चों को खाना खिलाना है, कैसे उनको बड़ा करना है, तो वो सेंट्रल पॉइंट है. और पूरा किचन हमारे यहाँ मातृ शक्ति ही संभालती है. तो अगर अच्छा क्वालिटी का खाना बनता है, सही टाइम पे बनता है, तो हमारी हेल्थ वैसे ही अच्छी रहती है. और यू सी द एविडेंस, बिकॉज देयर आर लॉट ऑफ लिटरेचर, लॉट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन आर अवेलेबल, but still we are lagging behind, because we need to generate the evidence based data, research based data. Previous speaker already saw lot of information, scientific evidences which prove that Ayurvedic medicine have very potential to eradicate or fight against cancer as well as different diseases like diabetes and other things. So basically, Ayurveda, I personally feel Ayurveda play very, very crucial to manage the cancer. Because you see there are a lot of drugs here, Rasayana Chikitsa, here yoga and pranayam, and aapka lifestyle management, along with allopathic medicine. If we join these 2-3 branches together, we definitely eradicate and fight against cancer. And cancer is the very catastrophic situation in front of us. If you see this data, which is published in Lancet 2019, previously cardiovascular, stroke, and cancer. There are 3 main causes of death. First cause the cardiovascular, second stroke, and third is the cancer. But unfortunately, this data indicate that high income country and lower middle income country, cancer is a first cause of death. This study done in the 21 different country, epidemiological study conducted. On the basis of that, they indicate cancer now first cause of death. In our country, you see the data. In Northeast, have the highest incidence of cancer, both in male and female. Instead of that, in Maharashtra, be it Islamabad, the incidence of cancer is very low. So within the same country, we have the very high incidence of cancer and very low incidence of cancer. And this is a data of ICMR which indicate that the incidence of cancer in metropolitan city is drastically increased. So the main cause may be stress, lifestyle as compared to rural area. So that is a very catastrophic situation in front of research and clinician to fight against that. If you see the scenario of cancer in India, this ICMR data, we have bear the 71% of the death, like they are non-communicable disease. India has 63% death. And we have the, interesting is that more than 60% cancer are preventable. Like 40% from the tobacco related, if we stop chewing the use of tobacco, and 20%, 20-25% is the infectious related. So that is the interesting thing, we protect ourselves by stopping the use of tobaccos, taking the vaccines, HPV, against HPV vaccines and hepatitis B vaccines, and adopt the good lifestyle. And these are the challenges like developing country like us. First is the population, no doubt, because every year we including the one Australia population in our country. So definitely infrastructure are due to high population is limited for us. Second, health insurance and economy, because cancer still a not notified disease, but current government are taking a lot of positive steps to develop the Ayurveda, make a Ayush ministry to support the Ayurvedic research and bring more projects. And similarly, we need to motivate and propagate the public-private partnerships. Okay, so we generate the funds and collaborate with the industry. We need to develop more R&D centers, as well as our collaboration with the industry and academic and private institute is a need of our, so that we join to fight against cancer. So definitely along with that, if we fight against cancer, we need to collaborate allopath, Ayurveda, Siddha, and use the modern latest technology, artificial intelligence. That will definitely help to fight against cancer. You see the traditional Indian system medicines. Previous eminent speaker already focused and put a lot of light on that. I am not give much time. There were different type of Ayurvedic systems are there, and you see they are the how much a business now. Ayurveda is just $86 billion. Like these are popularity. These business are going very fast. You see 2015 to 22, $9.7 billion business is there in globally. In India also around 8 billion from 2015 to 2019. So that shows the popularity of Ayurveda. I request our audience kindly give a big hand to that, because Patanjali play very, very crucial role to famous Ayurveda globally, not in only India. आदरण प्रधानमंत्री जी, आचार्य जी, स्वामी जी, सुबह जो इनका प्रयास है वो मतलब वर्ड नहीं है मेरे पास बोलने के लिए. तो अब आप देखिए, एक तो सभी लोग आके सवेरे मॉर्निंग में योगा प्राणायाम कर रहे हैं. दूसरा, हमारी जो ट्रेडिशनल थेरेपी है आयुर्वेदा जो है, उसका बिजनेस भी 2015 से 2022 में कितना 4 to 5 times इंक्रीज हो गया है. So that is the power. If you see this pyramids, so maximum component like 58.29 are the anti-cancer compound present in the plants. The previous Dr. Agarwal already mentioned that in previous lecture. And these are the drugs which are vincristine, vinblastines, and others which are using anti-cancer drugs. These are all metabolite from the plant. So, but we need to make a more investigations by using the Ayur informatics, Ayur genomics, and use the modern technology to develop this, identify these anti-cancer compounds, because there are a lot of huge compounds are there that we need to explore. And this is a timeline how we explore, how we detect these things. In this regard, my laboratory are working to look out the new gene called POT, prostate ovary testis placenta. I use this as a receptor, as a ligand to interact with the different phytochemicals to look out how this gene are respond in presence of different phytochemicals. And this is the gene which are discovered by Ira Pastan 2003, and there are 14 different paralogs which are dispersed on the 8 different chromosomes. And this is a classification. We classified these in 3 categories, and these are the structure of gene which are 47 kilobase, and these are the line 1 elements, long interspersed elements are present there. And important thing that these genes have the N-kinase repeats. These N-kinase repeats basically play very crucial role, protein-protein interaction, and cascade the signaling pathway. And another thing, these genes are localized on the pericentric region, which are gene poor rich. And these genes are expressed only in embryonic development as well as in cancer. So we do not know why they are expressed in the cancer. If you see why these genes are important, because they play differentially expressed in the cancer, they are pericentric localized, induce apoptosis, and also have the immunotherapeutic potential. That a region, and we see some experiment how these genes are play crucial role. We knock out the overexpress this gene in the cell line, cancer cell line, which have less expression. After that, we found that after overexpression this gene, it increased the migration and proliferation. Basically, it increased the oncogenic property. So we tried to use the in silico approach, and by using the different phytochemicals, how these genes are respond. So this is a paper which I published in the Cell Press, and look out all bioinformatic tools through that to investigate this protein. So some data I'm showing that I search some phytochemical compound, their pharmacology and pharmacodynamic properties. After selecting these compounds, I did the molecular docking by using these proteins, and these are different compounds. And we, after molecular docking, we look out their interactions and their assessment, how they are stable, how they stabilize. And further, we use as a protein ligand interaction analysis. So how these peptides are interacted with these phytochemicals which are anti-cancer property, and further we look out this stability by energy forestation linkage and adaptation poison voltage solver maps. So that all indicate us these protein are interacted with this anti-cancer drug and may be a potential target for these phytochemicals. So we calculate Ramachandran plot. I am not going in detail because of time shortage. So I am just giving the snapshot of this data. And we calculate RMSD trajectory value. So all these are the physical and properties and on the in silico base, how peptides are interacted with these anti-cancer phytochemicals and macromolecular energy frustrations. These parameters will help basically the interaction of these anti-cancer phytochemicals with the peptides. Root mean square frustration value, RMSD. So basically in the in silico study, we confirmed that POT-E is maybe a target for anti-cancer drug. Now we are going to do the in vivo study in my laboratory by using the cell lines and animal model. So on the basis of that, I will say whether how this protein are target, but in silico data give a promise to us these are maybe a good target to move forward. In this regard, my one student, Seher Kaji, is got the best poster award in the PhD category on this protein and this data. She submitted the thesis, she recently got the doctorate degree, and DBT, Government of India, DST, Department of Science and Technology, awarded the award on this data. This is the poster which she present, how this protein may be a target. So this is the poster data we got it. So in future, I am going to do all the in vitro and in vivo study further to investigate how these molecules play a very crucial role, or POT-E may be a target, anti-cancer target, because we need the targeted study by using the Ayurvedic drug, like allopathic drug they are using. So I am going in this direction in my laboratory. So basically the need of our for Ayurveda, as I told, we need to establish a mainstream, not a CAM or alternate medicine. Why we use this word? Because we need generating the evidence now. And Patanjali is in front line to generate. Dr. Varsne, I saw a lot of research articles and we talk once a while every week to discuss we submitted I'm happy to inform you that recently we submitted a small grant with the surgical oncology department. Dr. M.D. Ray and myself are a PI here. Dr. Varsne is a PI. This project, we already taken the ethical clearance for that project. So we are proceeding, moving forward to develop this project further and looking forward more detail and more clinical trial-based drugs, trial or Ayurvedic drug. So we need to make a standard molecular compositions, lack of information like mechanism of action, like POT-E and Ayurvedic drug. That will tell me detailed information about molecular mechanism, how that POT-E may be target for this anti-cancer drug. And as I told, we need to conduct more clinical trial to understand the molecular mechanism so that we call Ayurveda is a mainstream medicine, not a complementary or alternative medicine. So thank you very much. And I thank to all the audience for their time, all the dignitaries, Swamiji, Acharyaji, give their precious time to me for my talk. And thank you very much. And thanks to all funding agencies, DBT, DST, and Honorable Director, AIMS, who provide the infrastructure. As I told you, I get a very huge grant under the process to develop a DBT AIMS Partnership Center. I thanks to my head, NCI National Cancer Institute, for all kind of support. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. As was conveyed earlier, please have your questions ready. We will keep taking those, time permitting, throughout the session. Now we move on to the memento distribution ceremony. अब मैं परम श्रद्धेय श्री आचार्य जी महाराज से सादर निवेदन करती हूँ कि वे अब तक के स्पीकर्स को मोमेंटो प्रदान करें। इसी के साथ मैं आमंत्रित करती हूँ डॉक्टर राकेश मौर्य जी, डॉक्टर अशोक शर्मा जी, डॉक्टर स्वाति हलदार जी, परम श्रद्धेय आचार्य जी और सभी अतिथियों को सादर धन्यवाद. It's time for lunch break now, and we will be back at 2:15 p.m. sharp